are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome to the house that Penske built, racing fans. The Stacy Strong Cup Series is back, and we're live from the intimidating 2-mile oval of Michigan International Speedway. This is where speed and strategy collide in a high-stakes battle for victory. As we honor the memory of Stacy Tarnowski, we're reminded of her unwavering spirit and determination. These drivers are carrying that torch as they push their virtual machines to the limit. Every lap is a tribute to her and a testament to human resilience. The asphalt is calling, the engines are roaring, and the competition is fierce. So buckle up for a heart-pounding showdown as we crown a champion on this iconic track. I'm Dave Regal alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we'll be with you every step of the way. From the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Matt, it's about time we got the band back together now that, crises with weather have gone away, vacations have ended, and we're ready to rock here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, Mr. Myrtle last week, hope you had a great time, is back at the Homestead, at the Ready, and last week's Sunday's weather was not good, but that's all behind us. You mentioned the last great house that Penske built, and boy, is it a great one here from the Irish Hills of Michigan. Weather a little overcast, but hey, at least it's not raining like it is in the real life. In fact, this is the only place you're going to see 200 laps from Michigan in prime time tonight. The drivers, they're going to be epic. The battle's even greater. And we're all going to be Stacy strong here this evening as well, Dave.
Yeah, as you had mentioned, it's definitely overcast here, unlike the real world where it's raining. And, that 74-degree outdoor ambient air temperature there in the stands, that's going to translate with these cloudy skies to just an 86-degree track temperature. And, that's going to put more than enough grip here in the racetrack to watch some of the best iRacing competition that we're going to see here on the servers. And, this group here that we've dealt with now for 21 previous weeks here coming into week 22 is these guys are probably among the best. You have to understand, these are 100% length races. There's nothing abbreviated. And at the same time, these guys are still putting it together for 22 consecutive weeks.
It's very impressive what Chris Claude has built here within SNN, and then obviously all the other divisions or other leagues under that umbrella. Dave hit the nail on the head. You're talking about commitment a whole season, each and every week, and a great group of drivers. You're just not going to find better competition consistently on a weekly basis than right here each and every Sunday night. And I look forward to watching these drivers put on a high flying, high octane racing event right here as we get set ready to rock and roll on Sim Racing Media.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that we thank our fans for tuning in this week. As always, thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Because without you folks, we'd just be a couple of weirdos talking to one another about a virtual car race. Speaking of virtual races, the competition is real and it's heating up here. As, of course, 23 previous weeks, we come into week 24, and Sean Rogers still leads our points, and he is starting to grow that by leaps and bounds here. Nolan Hodgson, he still holds on to P2 with Robert Anderson in third. There's a lot of close battles deeper into the point standings, where you've got Mike Witt down here in 10th, and he's just, 3 points ahead of Matt DiCiani. And, you think to yourself, this isn't really that big of a deal, or that's a huge gap, but some of these points gaps, especially when we get into the playoffs, are really going to start to matter.
Yeah, they certainly do. And remember, don't get me wrong, the regular season is just as important as the playoffs. But once playoff time comes a calling, everything you pretty much have done all season long to get to the playoffs, it's almost like a hard reset. You're in the playoffs. Now you have to replicate that success all over again. But the pressure, the intensity, so much more on the line. And that's where you typically see the cream rise to the top. But Dave, like you said, there may be some gaps. But once these drivers, make the moves they need to make to get inside that playoff cut line, it's going to be a completely different world once we get to, those playoffs. But right now, it's all about fighting, trying to get inside that cut line, as we're currently underqualifying now, just a couple minutes in, and already at the top of the board. Looks like Cody McCorkle put up a hot lap of 38:30. He has the provisional pole as of now.
Just before we move on from the points, you were talking about that cut line. Right now, the cut line is separated by 2 points. There you have it. 2 points from I'm in, I'm out, or I'm on with life. John Wilco right now would be sitting on the outside looking in. You have to remember that 16 drivers get into the playoffs based on points or wins. And right now, John Wilco, with no wins to his credit, Ron Fitting the same way. They both run very close to one another on the racetrack. And right now, 2 points. That's what's separating them.
Yeah, that's a position or two on the racetrack. Or on the other side of it, you get caught in a late race mishap. Anything can happen, right? And all of a sudden, you're on the outside looking in. And that's why these positions on the racetrack, everything you do over the course of this race is so critical.
Yeah, now, we talked about our points leader, Sean Rogers, and I expect to see him next week because he is going to be my draft partner at Daytona International Speedway, as we have something very special for you coming next Sunday night. right here on Sim Racing Media. Yours truly going to be returning to the racetrack for the first time since last season after retiring from my racing career. Going to be stepping back into the cockpit inside the window net to race the Coke 0400 right here on Sim Racing Media. And I'm looking for my draft partner and points leader, and he is not here tonight. That's kind of scary if you ask me.
That is a huge turn of events. I was not expecting that, and I am scrambling, trying to find his name here in the lineup, and I am not seeing it either.
No, I thought maybe I had just drank too much.
That is a possibility. Well, perhaps he just he's prepping for what that's going to be like, as he is going to be your dedicated dance partner at the big house at Daytona. So perhaps he's just getting a little refresher in before that race.
Yeah, right now he's going to see a psychiatrist to find out if he's sane. Cody McCorkle brought home the pole position tonight here in the 78. Bobby Anderson going to be sitting P2. I see a couple of other big names. There's Kavaja Holt. Now, Kavaja Holt has a long career here in this league, and I'll tell you what, Kavaja is one of the drivers that I silently sit here cheering for week after week. He finally picked up a win over in the Xfinity Series, and here in this series, he always seems to get bit by just bad stinking luck. I mean, 22 starts. He's only missed one in the season so far. He has an average start of 18th and an average finish of 25th here in the Cup Series. We want to try to get a hold of him if I can here in our chat. Let's see where Kavaja is this evening. And there he is out of the Bandit Racing stable. Hey, Kavaja, it's Dave and Matt up in the booth. You got us.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Well, man, listen, I was just talking about the fact that you have a long and storied career in this division of SNN. What say you tonight for how things are going to go at the house that Penske built?
Oh, man. I'm not... Honestly, it's kind of a toss-up for me this week. I've had really good races this week, and I've had a lot of bad races this week, so we'll see. I haven't been on these track temperatures yet, so we're about to find out.
Yeah, I mean, you had a great qualifying run. I mean, obviously you're going to be up toward that front quarter of the field, really. I mean, that's not a bad place to get things moving.
Yeah, I'm going to might shuffle my way to the back here for a little bit, try to stay out the way. I just want to be there for the end.
All right, brother. Well, listen, good luck tonight. And by the way, I don't know if you're familiar with Cheerwine. Yes, no?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So I knew that it was somebody that I talked to from time to time here. Finally got a 2-liter bottle of Cheerwine while I was down in Myrtle Beach last week. Oh, my God. It was like meeting Jesus.
Oh, yeah. It's good. You can't find it everywhere, though.
No, you can only find it south of the Mason-Dixon line, and I was fine with that.
Oh.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck, and hopefully we see you on the other side tonight.
I hope so, too, man. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Matt, how familiar are you with the Cheerwine?
When I was stationed in North Carolina, I found out about it. The first time I ever had it, as you said, it was almost spiritual. And this is coming from someone that's really not a huge soda drinker.
Right.
I thought that was liquid gold, man.
Yeah, I saw somebody in a league that you and I did, or maybe it was me and Tony back in the day, but they had Cheerwine as their sponsor on the car. And I remember being like, what is this Cheerwine and why is it significant? I was just, by the way, it's delicious with vodka and gin too.
Yes, it is.
But, I mean, just the way that it is, oh my goodness. It's like a cherry soda.
It's almost like one of those underground microbrews where if you know, you know. It's almost like Genesee beer. Obviously, I'm comparing soda to...
Nope, I understand. You're talking to the right guy.
I mean, if you know, you know. And it's tough to find, even south of the Mason-Dixon line. I haven't seen it anywhere here in Florida. In fact, the only states I've really seen it available, North and South Carolina.
Well, I just happened to catch it in Myrtle Beach at the local Kroger there, just literally right on 17 across from Benjamin's Calabash Seafood Buffet. And I felt like I had a religious experience.
Yeah, it's tasty. There's nothing else out there quite like it. And should you add a little, alcoholic drink mix to it, as you mentioned, it's really easy to put a couple gallons of that stuff away.
Yeah, and I try not to drink too much soda because I am a very health conscious person.
I thought that was a very honest statement.
Well, it sounded good for television.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounded good for television. That's kind of what politicians do. But speaking of politicians, look at this red, white, and blue paint scheme here on the 94 of Chad Sanner out of Smithfield, PA. And I'll tell you what, this is looking pretty cool for the 1110 mods machine.
Yeah, the 1110 mods machine. Bad Chad Sanner actually goes for a spin there, but he's got a fresh new wrap on that ride, and kind of reminds me of the Miami Vice car a little bit from back in the Moonshiners Racing League with Tony.
Oh my!
I like the metallic colors on that race car as well.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Here's we're going to get ready to drop on down and take a look at our grid as drivers hopping into the old vehicles here. Sitting on the front row and pole position going to be Cody McCorkle alongside of Bobby Anderson on the outside of row number 1. Neil Pearson and Matt Long going to be in row number 2, while row 3 going to feature Ken Ron and Austin Call. Kavaja Holt and Chris Custer remain in row number 4, while Ryan Samuelson and Derek Heitman going to hold down the starting top 10. Alex Prinson going to be starting on 11th position on the inside of row number 6, with Chris Davis to his outside starting in 12th position. Tanner Marty going to be in 13th, sitting on the inside of row number 7 with Mark Johnston to his outside, while row 8 is going to feature Matt Mackin and Eric Papineau. Chad Sanner and Richard Pruitt going to be in row number 9, while row 10 going to feature Timothy Cook and Brian Tarnowski. Payson Lindsay making a I'm fairly certain, a debut start here in the Cup Series in row number 11 alongside of Tyler Sexton, while Ron Fitting and Paul Hill going to be in row number 12. Tane Hodison and Michael Witt going to be in row number 13, while Alexander Gangler and Matt Gaskins going to be in row 14. Chris Claude, our chief cook and bottle washer here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, going to be alongside of Tyler Hunter in row number 15, while Larry Miles and Keith Long hold things together in row 16. Michael Caffrey and Rich Jett in row 17, with Steve Herring and John Wilco starting shotgun on the field tonight here from Michigan International Speedway. 36 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight. This is a field that I would only say as a race league owner, you have to be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, proud may be an understatement. This is one of the elites in my book. Dave, you and I are fortunate enough where we get to call a lot of racing action. We see a lot of different leagues, and there's nothing quite like what Chris Claude has built here in this league. It's an honor to call these races, and it almost spoil you at times. These guys are just that good, as this field now gets racked, stacked, ready to rock and roll behind that iRacing.com pace car. Bobby Anderson, Cody McCorkle, they're going to be on the front row as that pace car works through the 3 and 4 complex, or 1 and 2 complex, excuse me.
No, we're in the 3-4 complex right now as we work our way out of turn number 4. Drivers now getting themselves all lined up. The iRacing.com pace car sets itself to move on down toward pit road. That means, folks, that the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn, call a friend, and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
Green flag in the air. Bobby Anderson pushes his foot through the floorboard, and we are climbing up through the gearbox for the first time as the V8s come roaring to life here in Michigan.
I'm going to be honest, and I don't like to talk smack, but I was off last Sunday from this league. I, of course, called the Racers Elite Cup Series on Thursday, but my blood started to tingle just a little bit through my veins while we got ready to go back green flag racing here for the first time in 2 weeks for me. Actually 3 weeks. Chris Custer here working the inside now of Cody McCorkle as they are side by side, while Bobby Anderson looks to challenge Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia for the lead.
Bobby Anderson and the 18 of Matty Long going at it toe-to-toe, door-to-door, but here comes the 40 of Austin Call's going to give a push now to Matty Long. That's going to give him the advantage. Long to the lead on the bottom, as now the 40 may be taking a peek to the outside.
And while all of that was going on, all of a sudden, something bad happened somewhere. And I don't see anybody who's off pace per se. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I'm doing
And
the same thing.
This may be a debris caution. I'm going to go with a debris caution because I don't see anything anywhere on the racetrack. Well, just in case that was the anticlimax that you were hoping for to start the race, congratulations. I hope you're happy.
Yeah, getting a report that the Castrol GTX display may have leaked some fluids out of the racetrack.
Makes a lot of sense. That's why you should use Valvoline. Castrol didn't work out too well for John Force, did it? Too soon? Too soon.
Maybe just a little too soon. But
He's recovering.
He is. And thank God. I mean, that man's a legend, especially in the drag racing world.
Can you imagine what the NHRA will be like one day without him? They're going to be like, I'm sorry, you just want us to drive these cars in a straight line? There's going to be nobody to cheer for. I mean, he is the fan favorite no matter where he goes.
NHRA without John Force is going to be like NASCAR today without Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Oh, a media juggernaut that makes billions of dollars? With a so-so product on the track? Tell me I'm not wrong.
Look, I don't want to start the debate about 90s and early 2000s golden era NASCAR versus modern era.
I mean, look, I got in during the early 2000s, and let me tell you, all of it. First of all, I want to tip our cap to our colleagues over at Fox Sports, because when Fox came in, they raised the bar on television production for NASCAR.
My God, did they ever at that time? It was like a renaissance in 2000.
I mean, for crying out loud, they brought Chris Myers away from baseball and football and said, "Here, do this." And he went, "I'm sorry, what?" He went, "Oh, so I just come over here and talk about cars?" Yes, Chris. No football? No.
You got to remember at that time, too, it was unheard of to take someone that was a driver and throw him up in a lead commentary role, or a crew chief, Larry McReynolds, or Chris Myers. And that team was just absolutely terrific from a broadcast standpoint. Probably one of the best NASCAR crews. Could you imagine if they had Ken Squire in there with him, too? That would be like a dream team.
Yeah.
But still.
Chris Myers anchoring the desk, during pre-race. Mike Joy in the booth. I mean, they were able to steal Mike Joy away from CBS. I mean, considering that without race coverage, Mike Joy was pretty much out of a job. It was either work for Fox or go sell used cars in Urbana, Ohio with Danny O'Shea.
Right, and then you take a big gamble on a race car driver that's really never been done before, Darrell Waltrip. How is this going to work?
Yeah.
There was a lot of unknowns there. And, they kind of flipped the script, rewrote, the textbook on how to do this stuff. But, I mean, when you put it all together and you sat down and you watched the broadcast, it was a thing of beauty. And it's, it's sad to see where it is today, but I'll never forget what that was like.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were the first to start with the cutaway cars. And, I mean, they had computers weren't that great at that time. So they had to have a real physical cutaway car. I mean, do you know what kind of investment that was at that time to just take a gamble because nobody had done it before?
It was a big investment, but then you also had a lot more sponsors. There was a lot more money being invested. So, it was the right time to do it. If you try to do the same thing today, perhaps maybe that doesn't happen because the money's not there.
Well, that's true. A lot of the money has gone away from NASCAR. Don't get me wrong. There's still fans that are just hurling it at the racetracks. Not that I have any hurt feelings about Dover only having one race and Pocono having only one race now.
Well, and that's where that's part of the problem. That's exactly.
And you have to remember, and even me as a fan, I look at it and I think, as upset as I am about Dover and Pocono only having one race each, at the end of the day, this is not just a sport or a game. It's a business. And speaking of business, it's time to get back down to business as Austin Call hits the Geico restart zone, drops the hammer, and here we go with Matt Long running away from the field. Matt Long, I think, was trying to throw the sleeper mode right there at Austin Call, and now brings Bobby Anderson along with him.
Oh, man, Matty Long caught these guys just sleeping at the wheel. He got going on that restart. And, probably one of the only other tracks, unlike, super speedway races, you don't want to jump out in front too big of a lead. A very draft heavy, aero performance package here with these cars. So, you got to be careful you don't get too far out. But what a restart there by Matty Long. Is now Bobby Anderson, Austin Call there, single file. They should have a pretty good run coming if they stay in line by the time they get to Matt Long. But 2x2 as we go further back. Ryan Samuelson there in the 81, almost 3 wide there for a moment as he's now working that 8th place position. 17 machine got really high up there into the marbles, but able to gather that race car back up as he now runs in that 13th place position.
Now, we talked to Kavaja Holt before the race, of course, and, he said that he was going to consider sliding back and maybe hanging out toward the rear of the field. He hasn't gone that far backwards as he runs in 10th position right now, side by side with Neil Pearson out of Perth, Australia, as they are 3 wide ahead of him and almost 4 wide. Good golly. Watch the 74, the meat in that sandwich. That's Chris Davis right on the inside of Chris Custer as we run down the front straightaway and into turns 1 and 2, and they are still all but 5 wide. What's going on? Where did that go? Where did all of these people go? Chris Davis with a connection issue. That's a terrible time for that. Of course, as we were focused right on him. But the 74 of Chris Davis was just the meat in one ugly-looking sandwich.
Yeah, very ugly-looking sandwich, but, this racetrack, it's wide, and with these lower temperatures right now, there's a lot of grip out there. And with this caliber level of driver, I wouldn't be surprised to see this 3-wide racing going on a lot. In fact, the 76 and the 40, they are deadlocked, John Force special style, into the corner here. Really no help now. Here comes Samuelson on the bottom. He is going to pick up.
Samuelson's going to get a little bit of a draft help from the 76 just in front of him. That's Derek Heitman as we go under caution again. Looks like finally we have a caution for real cause here. Michael Witt and Timothy Cook. Let's see what happened. Let's take a look at Timothy Cook. See what I did there? That's called rhyming. And we're watching Michael Witt in, oh my God.
Hello.
Let's take a look maybe from Timothy Cook's standpoint here, as I think I just saw a wheel bouncing helplessly down the racetrack. Let's take a look from above. There's Timothy Cook. That's the Red Bull machine right in the middle of your screen. Brian Tarnowski ahead of him. And it looks like Timothy Cook gets a run. Oh, and gets hooked by the 24. Oh, that's Richard Pruitt. And Richard Pruitt kind of scampers away. Looks like he's a little cockeyed. Let's see if we can maybe catch that from Pruitt's perspective.
Unfortunately, this is the ugly side of it. It looks pretty. Looks like they're putting on a heck of a show when they're 3-4 wide, but right here he gets the squeeze job on him. Metal on metal contact there, and something's got to, fortunately, that's going to stick him hard into that retaining wall, and moderate damage for both of those race cars. And Dave, where's real life as real life can be here in this series? No fast repairs available, and that is going to be an extended stay in the pits.
I'd be more concerned if he thought, I can do it. We're going to take a look here and see how Michael Witt lost the nose clip on the 88. He might have just been collateral damage here.
I'm pretty
There's
sure
the
that
wreck in front of him. And Michael Witt was pinned up and had no place to go. Ugh. Just a heartbreaking beginning to this race.
It is. It's very unfortunate, and that's just Michigan racing in this next-gen car. I probably ran about 300 laps here this week in the open setup, in the fixed set, and, I have seen a couple incidences just like that. That's just a byproduct of Michigan, and it's very unfortunate, especially for other drivers that get involved. You're going, almost 200 miles an hour here plus at times, and things just happen so fast, and you don't have any time to react to it. And the next thing you know, you're in it. And just a racing deal here early here at Michigan as we're now working lap 11 of the scheduled 200 here. We're going all the way, overtime available if we need it, as that field now starts to get ready and get set to go back. Green flag racing behind that iRacing.com pace car. Matty Long, Cody McCorkle, Austin Cole all putting on a show out front before that yellow flag came out. Interesting to see if they're going to keep the same intensity after this restart, or because of that incident on the racetrack, if these drivers start to dial it back a little bit, as we had a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, we even have a long way to go to the end of stage number 1. Of course, we do run full length in this league, and with 200 laps on the board, that also means that stage 1 is going to conclude at the end of lap number 45. Stage 2 going to be at the end of lap number 120. So we're not even a third of the way to that lap 45 stage break.
Yeah, and already a couple heat cycles on these tires early. And remember, this new tire compound, it's a lot more heat cycle sensitive than the older tire from the previous generation. And, while the track temps are very low and promoting, grip, Dave, one thing these drivers have to remember, this 2 and 3 wide racing, that is going to put an additional toll and extra wear on these Goodyear Eagles as well. So sometimes that can become a problem. In fact, I fell victim of that on Thursday night, and I completely burned up my right rear, just running 2 and 3 wide, and I almost it cost me at the end, in fact.
Well, that explains a lot. I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad you did. Here's the thing. I have those people that I silently cheer for here on the racetrack. You, of course, are one of them. And, when I see you guys out there, when I see Alan make a boneheaded move, I'm usually screaming hysterically. And for you, it's like, how in the heck did you go from having such success to, buried in the field, so to speak, as we get back underway here on lap number 13?
Green flag back in the air. And man, Matty Long, Mr. Restart in that 97. He gets him again. 2x2, side by side. In fact, we are rack stacked Noah's Ark situation up near the front of this piece. We're on board for Derek Heitman. Team Connie Racing, glad to see him back out there in competition as he's now worked his way into that third place position. Run there. Go ahead.
One of the things that I noticed during practice is that a lot of these drivers were only using 4 out of the 5 available gears in these machines. Now, you have to understand that this is an open setup league, so it may be just how you have. What in the world is Ryan Samuelson doing back here? So you may have a setup, that only requires you to use all 4 gears, but we're suddenly 3 wide. Oh my. 3 abreast. Whoa! Watch the 6. Paul Hill almost, as they were 3 abreast, Paul Hill just hurled it up here into line instead of trying to do it himself. And now they go 3 wide with the 40 of Austin Call in the middle of that sandwich with Ryan Samuelson on the high side, Paul Hill on the low side as we come back onto the front stretch. There is Derek Heitman trying to squeeze himself by and away from that mayhem. Cody McCorkle takes over the race lead and lays down a 38.52, his fast time, and was almost immediately erased by Alex Princeton in the Caribou Coffee number 19 as he just laid down a 38.49 second lap.
Yeah, and that's a byproduct of this race car. Having the limited horsepower, Dave, you really have to fit yourself through tight gaps, parting of the Red Seas, and kind of force your way through there at times. If you want to make position out here on this racetrack, you don't really have the power in this car to pull out and pass. And when you get in these draft trains down the straightaways, you can't just, step out and go to the bottom. Even if you have great grip down the inside of this racetrack, they're going to beat you coming off the corner because they have the help of the draft and they're carrying more momentum on the outside. So what you see these guys doing right now, 2-3 wide here, and kind of just taking that momentum and sliding up in front of other drivers when they have the opportunity to. That's really how you got to get to the front here as we now widen things out, go to the blimp.
I'll tell you what, the 40 was just loose as the goose on its door as he was sitting right in the middle of what had to be an aerodynamic nightmare And now Austin Call brings it back under control as he's got the Aflac Goose. Duck, no, that's a goose. That's definitely a goose. Doesn't matter. Either way, I wouldn't let my children near it. But his Toyota Camry right now down 3 positions from where he had started, up in 6th. And he may be fighting a loose condition as he's still trying to hold on to positions as now the 00 of Kavaja Holt climbs back into the top 10.
Yeah, no surprise, Kavaja Holt's back inside the top 10, and that 00 machine typically performs very well at racetracks like Michigan Auto Club. I expect him to have a great run here tonight. And Dave, going back to your question about 4th gear, these custom setups are absolutely tuned to run in 4th gear. In fact, if you're getting a really good draft down down the front straightaway here, sometimes you'd actually have to click 5th, but you are turning a ton of RPM out there. It's certainly not saving you any fuel, but 4th gear, that was what it was all about with the open setup. So no surprise to see these guys, with these V8s screaming out there as we watch Austin Call there in that 40 machine up to 13th, having a great run here in the early going.
Cody McCorkle here in the 78 Cabela's machine. He's got that Chevrolet cranked up to crazy just ahead of Matt Long as he has now taken the lead back. He qualified on the pole, and now Matt Long runs P2. Now, it just seems a little strange to me that so many of these drivers, at this point, I'm still trying to figure out where our first, there he is, Bobby Anderson, where our first row partner here for Cody McCorkle disappeared to. Bobby Anderson way back in 17th position.
Yeah, Bobby Anderson has slid back through the field here in the opening laps of this race. Perhaps, the setup is not vibing right now with that race car. The temperatures have been a lot hotter here at Michigan throughout the week. That could be perhaps affecting the performance on that Ford Dark Horse Mustang, or this could be part of his strategy with all this close quarters racing going on. He's tried to avoid the big one and make sure he's around at the end when it counts.
Mark Johnston here in the 80, down 5 spots. He qualified 14th, and now he's sitting here just kind of holding off the 8 car of Alexander Gangler as he is side by side with Bobby Anderson. They nearly looked 4 wide. Watch Gangler. Look at this knot of cars, 6 of them all together, and they're still wobbling back and forth. There's the 8 of Gangler just ahead of the, looks like the 35 of Tyler Sexton. And Sexton has to be frustrated as they are not just 3 wide there in front of him, but very tight, as now the 58 goes to shoot the gap here and get to the inside of Bobby Anderson. Neil Pearson working his way back up through the field.
The modern-day Silver Fox, the 58, and Neil Pearson, close quarters racing out there on the racetrack. And Dave, that's what I was talking about. When you have that momentum, you gotta be able to, if your car will fit through that hole, that crease, that gap, sometimes that's exactly what you have to do, just what Neil Pearson did. And now he's going to go ahead and now start to challenge Tanner Marty there in the 29 ride. That 58 seems to starting to really come on as these laps start to click off through this run. However, Marty going to get a good run here on the high side. He's going to challenge back down the backstretch.
Eric Papineau just laid down fast time of the race here all by his lonesome. He's actually probably one of the more comfortable drivers right now on the racetrack. Not only did he just lay down a 38.33 second lap, but he also has had, for a second ago, just about the most real estate around him to kind of keep things safe as we work lap number 23. We're just about halfway. In fact, we are now more than halfway through stage number 1. I'm Dave Riegel, and he is Matt Metler. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. As always, together on a Sunday night now that vacations are over for the time being. The bye weeks are over here in the NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, that was due to the Olympic break in the real world. And, did you watch any Olympics this year, Matt?
Unfortunately, I watched a couple highlight clips from the basketball. Other than that, I did not. Just too much going on in the personal life, unfortunately.
I'm not usually an Olympics guy, if you will, a watcher of the Olympics, but I happen to see some of the gymnastics. I happen to see some of the speed walking. That looks like a waste of an Olympic event. We can't have 2 races at Dover, but God darn it, we can have speed walking in the Olympics.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. I'm dead serious. So serious. I'm serious
So-
as the heart attack I'll one day have that will take my life.
Walking fast, speed walking.
Yes. It really looked like it was just like 40 people that had to pee.
Hey, look, I'm sure they're highly fine-tuned athletic machines. Oh, God. The Dead Slayer machine almost got sent into Cody McCorkle. That was about an inch from being a big-time moment up here at the front. But now Paul Hill's going to gets loose off the corner. And, Dave, that was something I was going to bring up. With all this hard racing going on, it's really easy to start to use up that right rear, and it doesn't give you a heads up that it's going. You got that grip, you have that stability in the race car, and then all of a sudden you just go haul off into the corner, the same line, same velocity, and all of a sudden it's not there, and it'll just step out. And once that happens out there on the racetrack, you better start to back down your pace a little bit, because it's not going to get any better. But I was concerned we perhaps could see that with some of the lap times these guys are running up here near the front, as Matt Long now finds himself in the hornet's nest. 3 wide, and we're still flexing both these. He's going to find a hole here to the high side to slot in just behind. That looks like Payson Lindsay making his debut here in the 39, having a great run. How about him, Dave?
Yeah, Payson Lindsay here in what I believe to be a debut, if not just, very early in the SNN career appearance here in the 39 machine. Payson Lindsay right now running in 5th position, and just qualified in 21st. In fact, I'm going to go back here and see if I can find how many races Lindsay has, because I got to be honest, I don't think it's many, if any, at all.
I have not seen his name in the series that I can recall. However,
Nope.
I have been out a couple weeks in the recent month. However, I can confirm that it is his debut and having a great showing thus far. I mean, he started back in the field and already up in that 3rd place position. I'll tell you what, Dave, I would give anything to just one race for 20 laps inside the top 5 here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, let alone have a debut running so strong right now for Payson Lindsay, who's now slots back to 4th. But hey, heck of a job by him. That's very strong competition out there on the racetrack, and he is fighting with the boys right now and doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, Lindsay right now, the way that it's running, I mean, it seems like 6th position may be all he's going to get out of that for the time being. In fact, maybe I'm wrong. Hold on 1 second. Let me go back here, check this, because I just realized that I had spelled Lindsay wrong. Nope, still right. Still first race. But what I was really interested in was Paul Hill, because, I mean, Paul Hill just knifed his way up here, which, I mean, Paul Hill right now running 4th in points so far this evening. And, I mean, just one...
Oh, we got problems!
Oh, my.
On the bottom of the racetrack, I seen it take off and then went out of view on the camera. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, but we had 2 cars that took off down the bottom of the racetrack.
I don't see it. I can't find it. It may be Chad Sanner. Nope. Could be Michael Caffrey. I see a lot of smoke, but no fire. We stay green flag racing with 15 to go here.
That is an impressive save for both of those drivers. They were at a 45-degree angle when I lost them. But, I was talking about just how good the competition is. And to your point about Paul Hill, how he knifed his way up here, Dave, if you save tire here at the beginning of these runs and you let these drivers, just duke it out trench warfare style, and you can save a little bit, when their tires start to go away, you can then drop the hammer and just drive through, and drive to the front, and have really good grip until those tires start to heat up. And I think that's perhaps what Paul Hill did there. He just waited for the right moment and then decided to turn some hot laps out there. And in fact, he is still the fastest guy out there on the racetrack, well, 2nd fastest at a 39.25 last time by.
Yeah, Paul Hill picked up a checkered flag at Indianapolis Motor Speedway back in June. He's got a couple of other podium finishes to his name. He finished 2nd at the Chicago Street Course. He finished 2nd at New Hampshire. He finished 3rd at Dover. He finished 2nd at Circuit of the Americas. I mean, this man has earned his way into 4th position on the point standings, and tonight has decided he wants to lead a couple of laps and see what it takes to hold off Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia. And Matt Long has just as an impressive, there we go, all of the words out at once, just as much of a good resume here for this season. I mean, Matt Long, once again, he's got 3 wins to his credit this season at Chicago. So, of course, finished just ahead of Paul Hill. Iowa Speedway, he picked up the dub, and Charlotte Motor Speedway, he got the W. And, of course, we've seen him finish on the podium so many times. In fact, before that first win at Charlotte, we were kind of wondering if he was always going to be a bridesmaid and never a bride.
Yeah, Matty Long run, no surprise, 32 laps in, or 33 now. And here's that 97 charging towards the front. So good at, just getting the most performance out of those Dr. Feelgoods out of the race car. In fact, you got 2 Fords out in front right now. Paul Hill also in that dense layer Dark Horse Mustang just in front of him. And I think Matt Long maybe working just off the back bumper, of Hill. As we now have caution on the racetrack, ladies and gentlemen, as the battle for the lead was just getting good. And that is going to slow things down once again.
This may have involved Ken Ron. Let's take a look here at the replay. And, there's Ken Ron getting loose out of 2 and catches Bobby Anderson and Brian Tarnowski. Oh, that's going to make Brian a little upset. Brian did well the last several weeks.
Remember when I was just saying that Brett Rear is going to just all of a sudden go, hey, I'm not sticking?
Yeah, that was a good time.
I think that's exactly what happened here.
Well, here we go again. Now, we can see him getting loose. There's Ron, and that was 6 to 1, half dozen of the other for Tarnowski.
Yeah, he's going to be picking up his teeth out of the cockpit of that race car for a long time. I mean, that was just absolutely an epic collision.
Well, here on lap 34, we're going to step aside and pay some bills. Of course, we want to tip our cap to Premier Racing Setups, and we want to thank them for joining us here on Sim Racing Media. We want to thank all of you for joining us in the YouTube.com live chat. And, folks, make sure that you subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, and let us know what you're watching for, as we are now 11 laps to go in stage number 1. Pit stop's underway, and we'll be right back.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to the house of Penske built Michigan International Speedway. Dave Riegel and Matt Mettler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank all of you for joining us this evening on YouTube, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We've got cheerleader for Chris Custer, speed walking from Leslie Bergen. Yes. Alan. Ryan Smith says, let's go 17. Watch out. He won earlier this week here. So we're going to watch Eric Papineau as Papineau right now. Let's see where he may have shuffled to. And this isn't good. There he is. Actually, the 17 is in 17th after qualifying in 16th. So obviously he knows how to get it done here this week as, Leslie Bergen Obviously, also not a fan of speed walking. Folks, I swear to you on all that is holy, it really is an Olympic event for reasons I don't know, but there it is.
Walking with speed, only on the Olympics.
I mean, I just speed walked to the refrigerator and back to get a beer.
Well, you have a point there.
Now, if you put a beer at the end of the racetrack for me, I'd walk for it.
You might run a 30. You know, I'm not going to throw the times out there, but I know you'll be hauling for that one. As that iRacing.com pace car pulls off, and we get ready to go back green flag racing here at the house that Penske built. Paul Hill's going to have the button. He's going to pull the trigger. Green flag back in the air. And we are underway once again here from Brooklyn.
Watching right now the 39, and that's Pace and Lindsay working the low side. What a disaster this looks like behind. Oh, there it is! Oh, and it's pandemonium.
Pandemonium breaks loose as the devil unleashes just holy hell and carnage on the racetrack. We got
the 19. The 19 is just spinning on its roof. And now lays badly.
On the side. Very reminiscent of Ryan Newman's wreck at Daytona on the final lap.
Just as I was saying, it looked like a disaster. It sure turned into one. They wreck in front, come up in front, and of course at that moment, with all of the things that the computer has to calculate, we never see how. There's the 81. Ugh. I wish I could see. In fact, let's see if we can go back to Pace and Lindsay, who this kind of originated around. Let's see if we can go back here and maybe get a little bit more insight.
The perfect storm was set here. I thought the 5 wide was going to kick it off. It doesn't. Just in front of the 5 wide.
Oh, it's Kavaja. Kavaja came down.
Oh my God. They say Talladega and Daytona bring out the big ones. Well, folks, you just seen half the field get nuked coming off the restart here in Michigan.
Now watch the 00 right here in the middle of your screen, that orange and white car, and he just comes down and clips the 39, and boom goes that proverbial dynamite.
Yeah. Kavaja got loose on those cold tires, and unfortunately they were 5 wide behind him, so that they had nowhere to go. It was like
that put 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cars down to pit road. Oh boy.
And others with some damage to the race cars that stayed out on the racetrack. I mean, did you see a couple of those impacts?
Yeah. Again, the 19 spun on its roof. Was it roof or roof? Roof.
Well,
he got
let's just say he wasn't trying to break dance out there. Then he had the, another car go X Games mode. He probably smacked the fence, head on at probably almost 200 miles an hour. Engine instantly exploded. I don't think I've seen carnage like that at Michigan in some time. And unfortunately, even the greats have incidences that happen on track. And that's really going to shake up the outcome of this race, Dave.
Well, shake up it does, because that takes Bobby Anderson down pit road, Ryan Samuelson's on pit road, Alexander Gangler, Matt Gaskins, Matt Long, Kavaja Holt. Some of the big names that we were expecting to see big things from tonight are down pit road, with Paul Hill now remaining your race leader. Derek Heitman, Neil Pearson, Cody McCorkle, and Tanner Marty. That's your top 5. And that's definitely the most different top 5 that we've seen all season long. Now, I'm just saying, okay? I'm going to make the bold prediction now. This is the night that John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, gets it done and gets back onto the podium.
Well, that's exactly the shakeup I was talking about. Now this gives someone else an opportunity here to break through and potentially get a win here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. And John Wilco certainly deserving of that. Longtime driver in this series, always drives his tail off each and every time he suits up. And maybe it is Wilco's night. And he's also from Pennsylvania. That's your home. That's your home state, Dave. Why not Wilco? But certainly this could give someone an opportunity here to finally punch through and get their first win here in the series. As we're going to rack stack them, do it all over again. It's going to be Heitman on the outside of Paul Hill this time. Then you're going to have Neil Pearson, Cody McCorkle, Tanner Marty, Tyler Hunter in row 3 there. Drivers
Do you realize
making
that
sure
if Heitman was a center on a football team, his name would be more like Heikman?
I call him Hype Man.
Every time you say Heitman, anytime either of us do, I feel like we're going Heitman. Derek Heitman. It's either that or we would fit in really well in 1933 Germany.
Well, Heitman had a heck of a restart there as he was right on, or got a great push, I should say, there for the 78 of Cody McCorkle. That's going to give him a little boost here as we're getting back up to speed. You can see he's now closing in on the back of the 6 from that push he got from the 78. But the 6 going to get a good run off the corner as we're now up to speeds over 200 miles an hour. Going down the backstretch into the corner. These guys are absolutely flying out here right now. And, you know, Dave, I mean, the weather, the stage is set, low track temperatures, overcast. You're going to be making all the power and have the most mechanical grip. As now Heitman said, Paul Hill, hey, I know you're out there leading, buddy, but it's my turn. He's going to turn it down to the inside and send it in there like grandma's business on the bottom. Paul Hill's going to try to get a run and keep the momentum on the high side of the racetrack. He didn't have really any support there through the corner, but here comes Neil Pearson as he's going to now challenge for P2 on the inside.
As we head on down the backstretch, Heitman had to lift earlier about a lap ago coming out of turn number 2 as now he leads Neil Pearson as Pearson has now worked his way by Paul Hill. Paul Hill, who has not come, in fact, neither of those 3 drivers have come down pit road yet. They might be having that right rear tire problem that Matt's been talking about all night. Now, we take a look at our racetrack temperature right now, 92 degrees in the asphalt. And so that's a little bit warmer than what we had during qualifying. But, you know, as that temperature has hit that 92 mark, that's almost the witching hour. As Heitman, oh! There goes the 17 getting sent on down. It's not the 17. Originally, once upon a time, it was the 17, the Tide ride, but the 66 of Chris Custer as Neil Pearson slides in front of Derek Heitman. And now Heitman has to hold off Paul Hill as, he's going to have his hands full with Hodison and Papineau behind.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Tide ride just got the don't stain your ride, use Tide moment of the race. Heck of a save from him, but my God, that was probably a code 5 alarm inside that race car. And just so we're on the same page, I never said Grandma was hairy. I said he said it in the corner like Grandma's business.
I set you right up. I got him.
He got me, folks.
All I wanted to know when you said, about Grandma's business is, stuff. But Neil Pearson
finally got me with that.
Neil Pearson leads Derek Heitman here on the final lap of stage number 1 at Michigan International Speedway. And Heitman's trying to reel him in, but I don't think Heitman's got it here as we are heading down the backstretch one final time.
The final time down the backstretch as my son is extremely upset that Heitman is stuck in that second place position, but he's going to take it down to the flatlands. The 58's going to block. It's okay, son. He's still got a chance. He's going to try and sling it off the corner. My son upset that Heitman. Hey, look. He's going to do it. He's going to get him here at the line. Pearson fight.
Oh, my gosh. Pearson got Heitman by the hair of Grandma's business.
My son is very upset. He's looking at me like, Dad, you told me he got him at the line, and he did.
Now you have to explain to the small child that you know, sometimes sports are more disappointing than anything on earth. As Neil Pearson just bested Derek Heitman on the final, literally the final foot of stage number 1, as they get themselves caught back up to the iRacing.com pace car. Tane Hodison, Eric Papineau, Chris Davis, Paul Hill, Keith Long, Tanner Marty, and Tyler Hunter all going to be awarded those stage points. And believe me, folks, those stage points mean a lot in this league, especially, you know, if you have something unfortunate happen to you later on in the race. Once he comes in for pit service, we're going to get a chance to talk to Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox. I want to thank everybody for joining us as always. My goodness. I mean, look, if you're going to be disappointed like Matt's son is, you have every right to feel that way. I mean, especially when literally with inches to go, Pearson just had a little bit more throttle throw than Heitman did.
Yep, right now we're learning an important life lesson that sometimes you don't win every time. As I'll be right back.
Well, folks, we always say that you know, sometimes sim racing media, we are a family company, and family comes first when it comes to screaming children. Eric Papineau is going to stay out on the racetrack. Chris Davis as well. Neil Pearson comes down pit road. He's going to get that all-important pit service as we're going to get ready to see what happens here. As we know that he's going to get 4 tires in a tank of Go Fast as he nuzzles his way into his pit box. And now as he gets ready to roll out of the pit box, we'll wait 1 second. There he goes, Neil Pearson rolling off of pit road, our stage 1 winner. Hey, Neil, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Dave. How you going?
Well, it's going pretty good now that I'm back from vacation. We're back from the bye weeks and everything else that goes on here. And I got to know, how close did you think you were to Heitman coming to the line?
Pretty close. I knew it was going to be close, but I just wanted to give him some room and have a clean race to the line. And, you know, it's only stage 1, so I didn't want to push it too hard.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what, we watched you coming, and actually because of that finish to stage 1, Matt has had to step away from the microphone as his kid threw a fit because his kid is apparently a Derek Heitman fan. So thanks for ruining the hopes and dreams of a small child in stage 1.
Anytime, it's my pleasure.
But 10 stage points go to you now. You know, we've gotten to that point in the season where everybody's starting to look at the point standings week after week because, you know, we're starting to get down to that nitty-gritty before the playoffs. What say you? What do you think you're going to have to do to try to get yourself deeper into the playoff picture as you sit 7th right now behind Chris Davis?
Just try and not wreck myself out, you know, just get those better runs. I've had a couple of rough races lately, and so hopefully if I could just settle down and do better, you know, not get myself into trouble, which I've kind of been doing, so I don't want to do that.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way tonight. Hopefully you can pick yourself up another stage win. Looks like the top 3 right now have stayed out as we get ready to go back green flag racing. So good luck, and we'll see what happens from here.
Thanks, guys.
That, of course, the voice of Neil Pearson. And we're going to get him back up into the Dirty South racing. And he is the very deep South. In fact, he is the other side of the world. It's tomorrow morning in Perth, Australia. So he is not just down south, he's down under. As Eric Papineau leads us back to green now. It was said earlier here in the YouTube.com live chat that he had won here earlier this week. That came from Ryan Smith. Yes, Alex Prince, and we saw him on his roof. Sean Rogers will be back tomorrow as he is at the real race. That's right. He is from Kalamazoo. And apparently the rain has gotten nasty, so that's a live look in there.
Yeah, I was under the impression that race had already been called and rescheduled for tomorrow, as a low-pressure system there off to the east was just raking that area with on and off showers all day long, unfortunately. Green flag back in the air once again on the iRacing side of things. Eric Papineau leading the charge. Gets a great restart there I know we don't have Sean Rockin' Rogers in the field, but from Beast Mode Performance, his teammate Chris Davis picking right up where he left off. He's shockingly and suddenly in that second place position. Where did he come from? Oh, that's because he stayed out on the racetrack, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to do to give yourself getting some fresh blood flowing in that race car, some clean air. And now he is looking for his opportunity here to lead with the 66 Tide Ride. He's going to really make a slingshot pass there, kind of on the 58 of Neil Pearson, as he's going to slide back to fifth. And the 71 and the 74 are hooked up and going places, bump drafted down the front stretch here. They are closing in on Pompano quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Chris Custer pulling the old Alan Bergen and staying out when everybody else came in, as he was in on lap number 34. So 13 lap older tires on the 66. Pompano and Davis similarly about 10 lap older tires. As we work lap number 51 here. We've got 70 to go here in stage number 2, and then a long run toward the end when we hit that 200 mark. But Eric Pompano, he's our race leader for the time being. Keith Long in the 71. He's now trying to haul the mail just behind Chris Davis. We suddenly have a three-way battle for the lead, and it's not done yet. Here comes Chris Custer in the Tide Ride looking for more.
Remember, Chris Custer had a big-time scare just moments ago as he almost lost that race car down the racetrack, and now he's got that thing rebounded in high gear and just outside a podium position as the Tide Ride is charging, ripping the bottom. In fact, all those cars right in line there, Custer, Pearson, Hill, Tyler Hunter, were all working the bottom of the racetrack, almost kind of like tandem drafting right now, if you will, as they're trying to keep that momentum and that speed to carry. And just as we talk about that, we go back up to the front. The 76 of Heitman putting the move there on the 28 of Brian Tarnowski, as this is for that 8th and 9th placing position. And the 76 is going to throw it in there and throw a big time block there on the 28 to make sure he got back in line.
Yeah, they had some light contact between themselves just a moment ago. It looks like Heitman's the one that comes out the victor of that battle. But the war is far from over as we're here on lap number 53 at Michigan International Speedway. Eric Pompano now here in the 17 machine. He's got himself up in the lead about 0.2 of a second over Chris Davis. And these drivers are not ready to put anything to bed so far, as Brian Tarnowski now shifts to the middle lane and sees if he can try to swing it around Heitman. Heitman slides up naturally, of course. That's not a block, and it's just the way that that line happens to run. He comes up here in front of Brian Tarnowski as they haul it into turn number 3 here on lap 54.
Lap number 54, and it is getting good in the neighborhood up here inside the top 10. As these guys are just putting on a big-time performance. It's Chris Custer there. Hey, you got the 6 and the 66, so thank him for your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. Tyler Hunter rides just off his back bumper there in that 7th place position, having a great run thus far. They now
Speaking of which, we had a $1 million jackpot winner in the Pennsylvania lottery a couple of days ago. And the ticket, of course, was sold at a little podunk gas station in the middle of nowhere.
I really don't think there's any rhyme or reason to where you buy the ticket. I know others may say otherwise. But hey, if it's legit and it's honest, it shouldn't matter where you buy the ticket. But hey, $1 million, could you imagine if you woke up one morning and realized you just won $1 million? That's life-changing.
I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody I did, but you would see signs. There would be signs.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you have to. I think that's part of the agreement in the background. They have to, for a press release, this, that, and the other.
I mean, I would have a real butler named Alfred instead of a robo-vacuum named Alfred.
What if they didn't want the name Alfred? Would you pay them to change their name to Alfred?
No, I would find a guy whose name was Alfred.
I love it.
You know, kind of like Jeeves. Like if you have a baby and you name the baby Jeeves, you've pretty much selected his career.
Gotcha. So no experience doesn't matter. As long as your name's Alfred, you're working for me.
Yeah, that's about right. The interview process is this. Name, Jeeves. Alfred. Got it. Maybe that's Alfred's middle name. It is Alfred J. Pettigrew.
else.
You know, I
Talking
think
about
J is probably the most popular middle initial of all of fiction. Homer J.
Well,
Simpson.
my middle name starts with J as well.
Well, you're not fictional, unless you are, in which case I really need to lay off the bottle.
Well, you said I was a couple weeks ago.
Well, Bullwinkle J. Moose. Didn't think I was going to roll him out again today, did you?
No, I did not.
We had a... Never mind. I'll have to tell you that one off the air.
Not a problem.
Just remind me of Boris and Natasha.
Oh, I know where that's going. And I can tell you where Paul Hill's going. He's going back to the front. He kind of fall back a little bit on that restart. And I think that's just tire management there. You know, letting these guys go and use their stuff up. Oh, the 40 has caught a case of pug nose face to the front of that Camry, as he has now locked it down in his pit. That's going to be the 40 of Austin Call.
Yeah, he couldn't even make it down pit road. I wonder if he popped an engine.
Austin Call, famous on the SCL side of things. Very good driver in that series. Great to see him over here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, but I think you're right. I think that engine expired in the 40 machine.
Yeah, like milk that's been in the fridge too long. Eventually, it gets too chunky and you can't drink it anymore.
Or you make blue cheese out of it.
You know what? Not my favorite cheese ever. Not at all.
Oh, I
Hate it.
I'm talking about the dipping sauce, man.
I don't like that either. They can keep it.
Have you actually had it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I just don't like it.
Okay. Well, see, you can really you can say you don't like it. So many people I know, oh, I don't like that. Have you ever tried it? No, I haven't tried it. Well, then how do you know you don't like it? You're assuming you don't like it.
I mean, it's chunky.
Oh,
And
speaking of
to me,
chunk,
it tastes funny.
it almost got chunky out there on the racetrack.
Hey.
Big time moment there. These guys are still really keeping the intensity up out there, and here in Michigan. I thought, a couple big wrecks like we've seen, that may calm these guys down just a little bit, but they are still going at it, all the way through this piece right now. So we now work lap 61 of the scheduled 200. Overtime available if we need it. Stage 1 in the book saw a very thrilling finish, which sent my son.
Oh, boy!
God bless America!
Did you... Did you...
Yes, I did, because it was better than what else I was going to say.
Well, folks, if you have children and you need to find an alternate instead of profanity, God Bless America is a new one. As we take a look here, I was going on board with Derek Heitman, and at that same moment he started to get loose, and it's almost like something locked up in the car. I don't know what on God's green earth was going on inside the 76.
I think that was netcode that sucked the 76 in, that made the contact. That contact sent them right back up the racetrack. Basically, they three-stooged themselves, and unfortunately, as we go on board now, watch this. I don't know if the in-car camera there does a...
I was looking at the wheel there, and it looked like he suddenly was fighting aero pull.
Exactly, but if you go back to the chopper view, I believe that was the chopper cam, you can see how suddenly the 76 just trucks to the right. And then
oh, wow.
it just reacts like they made contact.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, that's not a good look for the 76.
Unfortunately, that's one of the hidden gremlins in sim racing. We don't have to worry about, the injury and all the other, the negative side of professional racing here in the sim world, but incidences like that in the, on the surface in iRacing, netcode can be a silent killer. It seems like at the worst possible times, and I'm pretty certain that's what happened there with the 76 of Heitman. That car just decided to take back off like it had made contact, but there was no contact on the racetrack.
Unfortunately, Heitman's not in the chat. It seemed, I think the silent killer is probably the most apropos illustration there. But folks, as we take one more minute here, we're going to hear from our friends over at Premier Racing Setups and Butt Kicker. I'm Dave Riegel. He's Matt Metler, and we'll be right back on Sim Racing Media.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Race fans, welcome back to the great house that Penske built right here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. It has been a high-octane thriller here in the opening stage and a half. I'm Matt Metler with the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Riegel, here live on SRM. And Dave, what is going on at Michigan? This race is really starting to turn into just an all-out grudge match between these drivers. Could we see a new first-time winner in the series when this one is all said and done? And as the carnage continues to take out big-name drivers, the potential opens more and more for that to happen.
Mark Johnston's going to restart in the lead, and I don't think I've uttered those words at all this year. Cody McCorkle going to be on the outside. I'm taking a look here at the youtube.com live chat, and first of all, let me say this. This extends the streak. I was starting to get a little bit concerned because Amanda Price hadn't made her her appearance in our live chat, but there she is, literally right alongside of Sean Rogers. In fact, maybe Sean or Amanda can answer. Sean, did she come with you to the racetrack, or did you leave her at home this time around just like you do when you go to the virtual racetrack? Just curious that maybe this is the couple's activity now for August. But Leslie Bergen giving a tip of the cap to our teammate Alan Bergen. Of course, Alan J. for Alan Joseph. From now on, he is A.J. Bergen. He is A.J. Bergen forevermore. Let it be so. As we suddenly go three wide, the 74 of Chris Davis just strapped on a hairnet and served lunch to Mark Johnston.
Hey, you know what Chris Davis said? Hey, no Sean Rockin' Rogers in the field. Watch this. I got you, cuz. And he takes that Camry to the high side of the racetrack, and he's going to take it to the point. But, you know, we may have some other plans here on the bottom side. As here comes Mark Johnston in that Dark Horse Mustang. Neil Pearson's not going to go with him. It's a three-wide salute. Dave, I'm starting to get worried here each and every time I'm seeing these cars 2-3 wide, or even the diamond formation. As we've had mass casualties out here on the racetrack, we do make it through the corner. Chris Davis continues to lead, but Paul Hill is now locked to the back of that race car in second.
I have said for years now that the diamond formation scares me, but I have also never seen this much three-wide action at Michigan ever, period, end of story. This is getting a little bit out of control, and I mean, there's still 16 drivers on the lead lap, 17 drivers, including Brian Tarnowski, who's all by his lonesome. He might be the safest driver on the lead lap. As contact between the 17 and the 74 as Papineau wanted to knock on the back door of Chris Davis.
He got hit so hard it hit his lag switch, and he blinked out.
I don't ever think I've seen anybody do that quite so artfully.
It was perfect. The
and
internet
an
was
update from the annals and the back curtain of of sim racing media, it turns out that the joke's on me. His friends already call him AJ. So I guess we weren't really friends until just this moment now, jerkface.
Hashtag Dave Regal.
I guess we weren't friends. Now we are. I feel like all of a sudden I'm like Forrest Gump getting on the school bus. My name's Dartha Harris. Well, we're not strangers anymore. To be fair, I'd get in the car with a stranger if they said that they had free tickets to the race. Wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, come to Miami.
Yeah, I can't comment on that, but just make sure you read what I put in the Discord. We already used that in 2016, so it's got to be a little. We got to think of something better.
Let's see what that is.
Eric Popino now going to take his turn at the point. In fact, he has hit the afterburner. Is kind of checked out of, out of these front 2-3 cars here. As that's going to squeeze Davis now back to that second place position. And remember, Davis, a couple other drivers, they got this great track position by, deploying the tire saving strategy. The way that caution came out, they were able to, get some excellent track position there and keep their, their vehicles at the front of this field. And that is really working for the 74 of Davis, as that beast mode performance machine has really come to life out here in the, in the cleaner air towards the front of this piece.
Well, and if it's not the Beast Mode 44 today, it's the Beast Mode number 74 running in P2, and it's just too early to tell. We saw one heck of a finish at the end of stage number 1. We've got 50 to go here in stage 2 as Eric Popino now works his way around another lapped car. Chris Davis now leading the charge here with the 78 of Cody McCork just behind, as Eric Popino lays fast time down at 38.28.
Yeah, Eric it would be under Miami Homestead Trip 24. Yeah, Eric Popino went God mode, went 38.24. That's a ripper here at Michigan. That is screaming. At a top speed of 206 miles an hour that lap.
Got it. Assignment accepted. I'll even show up wearing a suit.
Oh, that would be great.
I mean, it would be a birthday suit.
Yep.
Or a suit of armor.
Or a suit of armor. Probably.
Depending on how much she gets.
Probably want both, just in case.
Do you think they wore talcum powder in a suit of armor? Because I feel like there's a lot of chafage there.
That and probably, some of those suits actually have air conditioning built into them and everything else. So I'd prefer one with that if it was available.
I just feel like I would chafe very badly. Speaking of chafing, sliding around the racetrack is Tane Hodison. He's got some powder there in the old fire suit to keep him dry. As Paul Hill now works the low side of Hodison. Hodison now trying to hold on here as they come out of turn 2. He's got all kinds of momentum. They are nose by nose coming into turn number 3, separated by just a fender. And with a run into turn number 3 is Paul Hill as he hauls it down in there to take back third position from Tane Hodison. Eric Popino starting to step away from Chris Davis by about 2.3 seconds as, whoa! Throwing it to the inside all of a sudden is Tane Hodison.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And Dave, that's what you have to do in this next-gen car with the horsepower that you have, the aero package. And you're going to see this 2-3 wide racing when it's go time or when these drivers are trying to make moves. You cannot simply just dip out of line and continue on and make the pass. The side draft comes into effect. You can have a car that's phenomenal into the corner, carrying speed through the corner. But if, the minute you pull out of line and you don't have any help, forget about it. This car is just a turd in the horsepower department. Excuse my language. If it had a little more power, you wouldn't see this kind of racing here that takes out half the field just because you're out there trying to gain a spot or two on the racetrack. It's just the byproduct of this car. It's very aggravating to watch at times because a lot of good drivers tonight are not in competition. But this darn next-gen car, they've got to put some more power back under the hood on this thing.
Yeah, they've got to do something here to this Cup car, and yes, you said next gen, and it is, but I'm just not impressed with this.
Well, I had to because I was trying to,
Differentiate.
Correct, from the cars of the old in this thing. I get it. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and those guys, Kevin Harvick, were so good in that high horsepower car. NASCAR stepped in and basically fixed the problem, and that was taking the horsepower away. That was the wrong thing to do.
I mean, I thought that the original, idea of NASCAR, the idea, as Joe Biden would say, the idea was to get more horsepower. I thought that it was see how much you could squeeze out of a straight eight.
That's what it was, up until, what was it, 2013 or 14? When they were making around 900, somewhere in that range. Maybe I'm off just a little bit, and a car that would also turn 10,000 RPMs for an entire race, not holding it to 10,000. Exactly. Now what do? Hey, we're going to cut the horsepower in half, and we're just going to let everybody just hold hands throughout the entire race and bang doors off each other because, well, it promotes a higher, a better product on the racetrack. Well, that's good to a certain extent, However, if I have a race car that can do what it should do to be able to win a race, and that is go out there and not only have speed, but, it has balance and stability into the corner, it turns the center, and it drives off, and I can't use that because I got a little, I got an engine under the hood that's making 40% of what it's capable of, and two guys that are basically running, or a couple cars on the outside, if they stay locked together, I can't do anything about it because, I'm limited. It infuriates me, and I'm sure it aggravates some of these other drivers, but it is putting on some great, now from a broadcast standpoint, I love it. This is absolutely wild as we continue to watch these guys up here at the front.
Well, to your point, when we used to go to places like Phoenix or Auto Club, that was like a Happy Harvick kind of track. He would just go out, lap half the field, and be out there all by his lonesome in that high horsepower car back in the day. And now, we don't have anybody that's truly stepping away from the rest of the field. In fact, if you want to see that kind of racing where somebody can run away from the field, go ahead and tune in tomorrow night for Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series action, because now I didn't check this out this week, and I'm literally going to it right now. But for the last several weeks, we have had one heck of a dominant driver in Parker Retzlaff. Oh, yeah, by the way, he did it again last week at Chicagoland. And right now, Parker Retzlaff is on a 6-win streak.
And in case you guys didn't know, that is the same Parker Retzlaff that competes in the Xfinity Series. And he's taking those talents and he's really putting on a clinic here on the iRacing side of things. And he is on a hot streak of a lifetime. So, folks, you get a chance, tune in to Dave Regal. Look at I am sorry, but that was Tanner Marty. I am never going to question the size of the lug nuts on your race car again, my friend. I mean, he just on a leap of faith through that car in that hole. And thank God it was big enough to get him in there. But that's what I'm talking about, Dave. I mean, this racing, it's fun, as a driver when you're out there and things are going your way. But the one time it doesn't, and, you set off a nuclear bomb, that's where the frustration with the horsepower and other things come in, because it shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't have to rely on 3 or 4 other people to go out there and make positions on the racetrack. This isn't a plate track. We're not talking about, Talladega or Daytona. We could talk about that some either, or debate that, later on, as Neil Pearson here takes a look to the inside now for that 4th place position.
Pearson just had a wicked rotation through 1 and 2. He managed to keep the car underneath him. He's obviously loose. That rear end desperately wanted to step out from behind him coming through 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's because he's in 4th gear and he held it to the floor, and that was the only way he was going to be, force, just clear that position. Oh my, as they're coming 3 wide now off into the front of the grandstands here. The 58 is going to carry the momentum, bringing Tane Hodison with him here on the bottom. And the car behind Hodison, forgive me, folks at home, I think there's a number mismatch on the car. 35 ride. Thank you. I appreciate that. Having a great run here this evening. Actually, as my timing scoring updates here, he is 1 lap down off the pace. But hey, he's still out there in competition inside the top 20, and a lot of drivers, unfortunately, have been retired to their haulers here before the halfway point in this race.
Sean Rogers calling it early. Davis is going to win this thing. You know what? And I've seen this time and time again. Let's go up here to Davis and Papineau. Now, you know, I've seen this just too many times in this series where these guys, especially Chris Davis, the guys from Beast Mode are really good at letting Papineau go out here and feel his oats a little bit. And all of a sudden, in the closing laps of the race, they strap a hairnet on and just serve him lunch. And it's usually a mystery meat with mashed potato sandwich.
Salami surprise.
No, that's a whole different thing, and it's Thursday nights at the local different type of bar.
Well, you said mystery meat, so why not salami?
I mean, yes. You left me speechless. I got nothing. Nothing.
Well, anyways, you know, Chris Davis, a standout driver, performs really well on the Moonshine Racing series. In fact, he's looking now to the inside. He's probably wonder if he knows we're talking about him up here in the booth, and he is going to absolutely uncork a hot one into the corner here. Look at how he was able to gap Papineau in through the middle of the corner. Absolutely incredible from the 74 of Davis. Paul Hill now slides in that second place position as he is coming quick, fast, and in a hurry, taking advantage of that draft. Hill may look to the inside. He's going to send it all the way down, almost to the flatlands. Is hot. In fact, it's deja vu right behind him. Just about the same situation out there on the racetrack as the 17 North picks up a case of the blinkies. In fact, that could be a potential dangerous situation out there on the racetrack, as it looks like Papineau now his connection stabilizes. As we are racing our guts out here at the front of this thing, Dave.
We ride along with Tane Hodison while Papineau heads on down pit road after a bad case of the blinks there due to a connection issue. Chris Davis leads the way now, though. And as Chris Davis is going to be our Pied Piper, the question is, what is Papineau doing on pit road as he's going to come down and he gets himself into the box. 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast for the 17. And let's take a look here at his pit strategy and see when he last came down, and I can't see it now because he's fallen out of the top 10. But Paul Hill, your new race leader, he just squeezed around Chris Davis. And now Paul Hill tries to scamper away from him. But Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox, chasing down Chris Davis as Davis has now crept up right to the rear bumper of that Dark Horse Mustang. And we have a Ford, Toyota, and a Chevrolet, your top 3.
Hey, from a marketing standpoint, you want to see all manufacturers represented well at the front. We got that ace. We got that on lock right now. Davis wants more. He's taking a peek to the inside. He's going to hit the nitrous button. Where is he getting that run from? What an amazing drafting job by the 74 of Davis. He pulls it out slingshot style and able to carry the momentum all the way through the corner. That Camry is trimmed out very well. Nope, and I ain't surprised. You know, it's Team Watson Racing setups, working on the chassis underneath the hood of that race car. Those guys do a great job. As Davis now takes back the lead and carries the torch here at Michigan, as we go now back to Paul Hill on board with him as he's lurking.
God!
The 58 gets into Paul Hill. It's happening all over again. What a save by Hill. I thought that was disastrous. How did he gather that race car up?
It does bring out the caution, but I feel like that's now the second time where I've gone onto someone's hood cam and bad things have happened. Let's take a look here from our drone cam that was hovering just above. And here's Neil Pearson. There's Hill on the high side. Pearson comes up the racetrack, and you know what? I'm going to run this right here. That looked like it may have been netcode as we had cited earlier. In fact, I'm going to quick change camera views right here because I'm telling you right now, that looked like it was netcode. In fact, and I know that this is going to make Frank Marchese cringe using this camera. See that right there? This little double move here. In fact, let's go half speed. There.
Remember,
that
right
was, yeah.
and remember,
there he
this
comes.
played a big role earlier in a big-time incident on the racetrack, and here we go once again. Close quarters racing netcode shows its ugly face, and I'm with you, Dave. I think that was netcode as well there. But I'm telling you, it's the broadcaster's curse. Anytime you go to that camera, it happens to me too. It's almost guaranteed something's going to pop off as soon as you switch to it.
Wholesale pit stops underway with just fewer than 30 laps to go in stage number 2. Drivers had 7 sets of tires, so I'm not sure if maybe they're just coming down for a quick splash of fuel to get to the end of the stage. Let's take a look now as we see, nope, just kidding, Neil Pearson, he's going to get 4 tires in a tank of Go Fast. We drop the right side. We're going to watch the left side pop up as he's still getting fuel into that cell. And as he drops it down and off he goes, nope, Pearson's going to sit. Pearson's getting some kind of repair done.
Yeah, he had pug face on the front of that race car. It was
not that bad.
Hey, look, that's aero. You got to get that fixed here. But anyways, of course, the car didn't drop on the jack. Every other time it would, but the fact you were, focusing your attention on it, it didn't happen. That's just how this race is.
That's the way the ball bounces.
But that 74 Camry has got one heck of a setup in it. That car is trimmed out really well. I mean,
look, these guys from Beast Mode bring it every week.
They always do. And, Chris Davis, like I said, he's a darn good driver. I had the privilege to call his races over in the Moonshiners with Tony Trapasso. And that man will go to war, and he will fight, and he will not quit in that 74. And I know Roger's not in the field, but happy for Chris Davis to get a chance to, get out here and lead some laps and show what he's capable of doing in that Ramrod Performance TRD-powered Camry. Beast Mode Performance, Kenny Capola, Team Watson Racing Performance. Hey, these guys always back each other up. No Sean Rocket Rogers. Chris Davis says, "I got you, buddy. I'll keep the torch burning here in Michigan," and he's doing a heck of a job here tonight. Tane Hodgson going to slot in that second place position. How about Keith Long in the 71 in third? Mark Johnston fourth. Cordy McCorkle, who started up near the front, one of the few that are still in the competition. That basically started up here near the front and survived all the carnage and mayhem. Pole sitter, exactly. And Larry Miles, 6th. Brian Tarnowski, 7th. Matt Mackett. How about Matty, one of my favorite Mackets in the 01 machine? Tony Trapasso always used to say, no one takes a car to the face like Matt Mackett. He's got horrible luck like I do, and he is up there running in that 7th place position. Neil Pearson, Brian Tarnowski, and Paul Hill round out the top 10 as we get shuffled, rack stack, ready to do it all over again.
As an update from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Amanda Price was with Sean Rogers today, and she and Sean will both be attending tomorrow's postponed race right here at Brooklyn. So glad to know that she goes to the real race with him and, of course, tunes in with us every week. So a tip of the cap to both of them as Chris Davis comes out of turn number 4. He gets ready to hit the Geico restart zone, and as he does, he drops the hammer, and off we go.
Green flag back in the air. Davis on the loud pedal as we climb back up through the gearbox here once again. Gets a really good restart here. In fact, various drivers being the control car have really been able to get some phenomenal restarts. I don't know if that's just, the skill of the driver or a combination of the package on the car as well. But the guy that initially takes off is able to get a really good jump here. But here comes Tane Hodgson to the bottom. He really sends it into the corner. He threw in a howitzer. He's going to slide up the racetrack, cleared Davis, and now Hodgson with an aggressive move goes to the point, and Cody McCorkle says, "Hey, you took on Davis. Here I go. I'm going to show you what I can do out here," as he's going to send it in the corner.
Cody McCorkle trying to throw it down here into the corner, works the low side underneath Tate Hodison as they come out of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. A little bit of a wobble from Hodison as Tate tries to hold the high side, and now it looks like McCorkle's going to tuck in right behind him. That's going to open the door for the 71 of Keith Long, who's going to catch a little bit of a draft here off the rear of Tate Hodison. Don't look now, though. But here comes, in quiet fashion, Mark Johnston, driver of the number 80. We don't get to say this very often, but the Newell, North Carolina native here is now running in 4th position just behind the 71 of Keith Long. Long being timed in P2 as we work lap number 96 on our way toward lap 120 here at Michigan International Speedway. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth. And wow,
Roger Davis
hurling it down the inside is Chris Davis.
Sorry to cut you off there. We had a big-time moment there for the driver of the Toyota Camry, Chris Davis, with a big-time save as he almost did the slide for life. You know, and to your point there about Mark Johnston, a great driver, even better individual. He has a lot of respect, races with a lot of class. He's always been a supporter of SRM. Talked to him a couple different times, and it's great to see him up there towards the front of this piece as well. Man, these guys are fighting like you would think it's the last lap out here on the racetrack. Absolutely incredible battle going on here for that 9th place position. You see there Brian Tarnowski on the high line, 2 Camaros teamed up, taking on the Ford of Mackin on the bottom, and Timothy Cook.
Keeping an eye here on Brian Tarnowski, something just doesn't feel right. And, you know, I've been around Tarnowski for a number of years now, and there just doesn't seem to be something right with the 28 as he now swings it to the outside of the 57 of Larry Miles. Larry Miles gets put 3 wide. There's Matt Mackin kissing him with the right rear quarter panel. That shoves Miles behind the 88 of Michael Witt. And now Witt starts to run up just behind Brian Tarnowski, who has now gotten his way and battled into the top 10 as he follows the lap car of the 35 and the 35 of Tyler Sexton, as Sexton wants to stay as high as he possibly can. I mean, he's not the lucky dog. He's down 3 laps now and still wants to make sure he can get the free pass if it's available. But all of a sudden, a 3-way battle starting to rage for the lead.
3-way battle starts to rage for the lead, and here go the tires are burning, folks. That's exactly what's going to happen up front with this type of battling going on. But hey, we're going to call every minute of it because I love the way it looks here at the broadcast booth. The 17 is now going to take his turn to the point. The 6 literally took it down to that yellow line. He may have actually caught a piece of the apron and still was able to keep the momentum up. What a drive there from the 6. The 93, I thought, may have got a run there as I thought the 6 had to lift, and just as I say that, he has now met the back bumper of Paul Hill. That's going to give him a little bit of a shot into the corner, but he has to lift. That's going to allow Eric Popino to keep the momentum up and rotate on the high side of the racetrack. Tate Hodison in close quarters. Almost looks like they're working together to run down Popino, and that could be the case. But Cody McCorkle looking to play spoiler as he's going to send his hand in the ring.
Paul Hill running in P2 right now, just ahead of Tate Hodison and Cody McCorkle, where that battle rages, and Eric Popino being allowed to run the lead right now. And I say allowed because I think Paul Hill's got something up his sleeve, and it's got to be at least a king or a queen, maybe an ace even, as we start to run with 20 laps to go in stage 2. Wow, what a run the 71 has as he just blew the doors off of Cody McCorkle. He's going to bring along the 28 and the 35. The 35, although down 3 laps, has all kinds of speed locked up there in that Toyota Camry. And as they haul it down here out of turn number 4 back onto the front stretch, my God.
It's incredible with the 4th gear wide open. Don't lift. Yes, you can make it happen. You can make it work out there at times. And if you do, and it executes right, you get a big-time run like that. But of course, there's a trade-off, and do that a couple times, and your tires are liquefied. But that was absolutely monster run. In fact, Tate Hodison continues to make ground there on the bottom. You know, Dave, a lot of these drivers now starting to work down to that low groove, you know, really starting almost, you know, ripping, you know, that lane just up from the that yellow line on the racetrack. You know, trying to find some more speed down there, perhaps. This track probably changing as well as starting to take rubber into the racetrack. That's going to change, you know, the mechanical grip of the race car. You know, currently checking in at the weather. Still 75 degrees air ambient temperature. Is some hardcore bump drafting going on the racetrack as Paul Hill gave a nice shot going into the corner. Looks like track temperature holding steady, though, at 84 degrees. So the temp has come down, the grip has gone up, and we've seen the intensity go right with it as the 6 and the 17 just about side by side at the line. The 6 takes the spot. Paul Hill now to second as he crosses over in front of the 17 of Papado.
I told you. Finally, somebody makes me look like I know what I'm talking about. Paul Hill just turned on the extra gear and flew by Eric Papado. And now Paul Hill comes back to the race lead. He's up 23 spots after qualifying in 24th. And now Cody McCorkle here in the 78. He's hanging on to P5 right now. Brian Tarnowski still running in 8th position. But my God, these drivers are starting to really try to shuffle their way around as they know that time is running out here in Stage 2.
Yeah, time is running out in Stage 2. We're also going to see who abused their tires and who saved them. And Dave, I never doubted you for a second. I had a very strong feeling Paul Hill had a couple jokers up his sleeve. I just never got the chance to tip my hat to you, man. But that was a brilliant call by you on foreseeing what Hill was going to do, as we are scattered all over the place back here. I mean, we're changing lines, positions. I mean, inside, outside, they're doing everything out here on the racetrack. There's a lot going on the lap here, and continuing to wind down side by side with Cody McCorkle going up against Hodison. You got 3 cars working the top side of the racetrack. 19's going to throw it in there and basically cut off Johnston there in that 80 machine as he had some momentum rolling. Excuse me. Got the 58 of Pearson there in that 6th place position. And Dave, you can start to see these cars do the jig coming off the corner. That's usually the telltale sign that that right rear is about giving up on you.
Yeah, you know, when you start to see all of this sliding around, the cars do loosen up, and all of a sudden you've kind of got to burp that throttle a little bit, would be the term that I would use, you know, to try to keep that chassis underneath you. As now we go 3 wide again. Why? Why?
Because, Dave, it's almost 4 wide, because that's what this car makes you do. If you didn't do it, you're not going anywhere. Someone else is just going to do it, and you're going to go to the back. That's this car, baby.
I just don't see it as necessary. It really makes me apprehensive about next week at Daytona.
Look, hey, you're getting a little taste of what you're in for, man.
Well, contact between the 17 and the 58. The 17's now loose and in the middle between the 35 and the 58. He's trying to bring it back under control. Here's we get close to Eric Papado, who now has to slide behind the 58 of Neil Pearson if he wants to hold it together. Coming down the racetrack is the 35 of Tyler Sexton. Sexton maintains his spot alongside the top of the wall here. But right now, Eric Papado looks and peeks to the inside at Neil Pearson and now backs off almost kind of gracefully to allow that battle to continue to rage on, as Paul Hill has taken over the lead now with 12 laps to go in stage number 2.
Yeah, Paul Hill to the lead, and like Dave Regal said, he was just waiting and deploying and dropping the hammer, and when he did, he was able to grab that lead and continues to carry the torch, now working about a just over 2/10-second advantage over Neil Pearson. And Dave, no surprise, here comes Pearson again near the end of the stage. Spent all that time managing his equipment, taking care of his stuff, and here we are. Are we going to see another epic battle to close out here on SRM? Well, folks, stay locked and loaded right here with us here at SRM as Cody McCorkle now gets around Tane Hodison. Is going to slot him back to 4th. Pearson's got a good run here. In fact, he is there. He is at the back of that Ford Mustang.
Keeping an eye here on Papado, the 17 now looking just behind Mark Johnston in the 80. Johnston trying to hold on to that top 5 position here as we've got 10 to go this time at the line. And look here now as my old buddy Brian Tarnowski in the number 28 Trisha's Hope Chevrolet Camaro gets ready to try to work his way around Eric Papineau and start crawling deeper toward the top 5. As he's here in the top 10, he's got the 66. That's Chris Custer, who's down a couple of laps just behind him. In fact, Custer's down 1 lap. He would be the lucky dog right now. Oh, my. Custer does not want to see anything bad happen around him. He just wants to get to the end of the stage so he can get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and sometimes if your looks like mine, that's exactly when something will kick off, right when you don't want it to. And there's Chris Davis there. Remember, he was off cycle. He already had about an additional a little bit of contact out there on the racetrack. A little more leaning on each other. The Tide Ride, the 17, going ahead, giving each other a little bit of elbow grease. Just another walk in the park. They're still leaning on each other. It might start to be personal now.
That's the lucky dog, for crying out loud. Just leave him alone. All Chris Custer wants to do is be left alone right now. Just leave me alone. Let me get to where I'm supposed to be. Right now, John Wilco is the last car on the lead lap. He's got that pretty well wrapped up here. He should be okay where he is. There's no danger. But Neil Pearson has now got around Paul Hill as the Dent Slayer has had to slide back 0.7 of a second into P2 as we are 8 to go this time by.
8 to go this time by, and said, too fast, too soon, Junior. Looks like Paul Hill may have hit the Dakers button too soon, like something out of Fast and the Furious, the first one. Neil Pearson is now sends it as he's got that car firing on 8 cylinders. Neil Pearson sent it so hard he actually got a piece of the wall coming off of 2. As he fires down the backstretch, still has a sizable gap. In fact, it's approaching 0.7 of a second over Paul Hill.
Neil Pearson leading the way with 7 to go here in stage number 2. Paul Hill now 0.75 of a second back, but all of a sudden, Chris Custer has now been challenged by Chris Davis for the lucky dog spot. All of a sudden, we have a lap car battle that really means big things here for the 2 Chris's left here closest to the top of the pile. Chris Custer and Chris Davis, of course, Chris Claw being the 3rd Chris in the league. But Chris Davis in the Beast Mode 74 has now muscled his way past the Tide Ride 66.
Yeah, Chris Davis is off cycle. Remember, folks, the last time we went back to Green Flag Racing, when he was in the league, he was already at a tire deficit. He was just down pit road on lap 104, so he's got some Dr. Feelgoods that reignited the vibe in his ride, and he is going places like the words of TRD's marketing slogan, let's go places. Chris Davis going to the front here as he is in an epic battle right now with the Tide Ride. Side by side, door to door, giving each other plenty of room. I just want to point that out. You can see the respect between those 2 drivers with the amount of space given out there on the racetrack. Davis going to slot in behind him as they roll into 3.
Chris Custer being allowed to run just ahead of Chris Davis. Now, Custer was down on 91, Davis on 104. We have another pit stop coming up here on lap 120, and this is far from over yet. As we take a quick peek up here to Cody McCorkle, who suddenly has a rearview mirror full of Tane Hodison. And Hodison looking now to try to get around the Stanley, North Carolina driver, the number 78, as he looks to the low side. Now McCorkle drifting back up the racetrack against the wall. Looks like he's going to be able to hold the position away as Custer and Davis still battle it out deeper in the field. Steve Herring now trying to hold off John Wilco. So with 5 to go in stage 2, this is far from over for some of these drivers desperately looking for stage points.
Yeah, and you're going to see it all get laid on the line here right now, especially with the amount of competition that has been sidelined in this race. The 78 of McCorkle, he has been, on the money here, especially in the last, 10 laps or so. He is really getting all the performance he can out of that ZL1 Camaro, doing his best to keep the 93 of Hodison just behind that ZL1 Camaro, and he's been dead on doing it. Like Dave said, still have a couple laps to go in this one. And will we see another wild finish at the line to close out stage 2 like we've seen in 1? As McCorkle and Hodison still continue to run 3rd and 4th. Mark Johnston having a great run there in 5th, just behind this battle on the racetrack. You're wondering about the modern-day Silver Fox, Neil Pearson. Well, he's continued to leave the field in the dust. That's impressive, because there's so much draft dependency here. But that just goes to show you, if you save some tire here late in the run, you don't need that draft. You get some clean air on that race car, and you can absolutely go out there and fly and take yourself out of that hornet's nest. Neil Pearson has done just that and now leads almost a second over Paul Hill. Are you kidding me, Dave?
Just about a second over Paul Hill. He got around Bobby Anderson, and as we're 2 to go here in stage number 2, we take another peek back at Eric Papineau, who tries to get up here to Michael Witt. He wants another stage point, and he's going to try to do that by getting around Michael Witt in that PepsiCo number 88 Chevrolet Camaro. As now that paint scheme has now gone from the Wrangler yellow and blue to the GM Goodwrench black and white.
I'm with you on that one, Regal.
That one just threw me for a loop. But Michael Witt now trying to hold on to that position. They go side by side. We're on the final lap of stage 2 here at Michigan International Speedway. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Looks like the lead is all but secured by Neil Pearson as he is down the back chute. But this position here, the 17 just used it all up. The 17 used it all up, and he just fades away. Mark Johnston, though, in a three wide battle here, coming back to the line. Cody McCorkle, the 93 of Tane Hodison, and Mark Johnston cross the line, and that should trigger momentarily our caution flag for the end of stage number 2. There it is. And it's going to be Neil Pearson getting that green and white checkered flag. That's 2 in a row for him here at Michigan. Paul Hill, Cody McCorkle, Tane Hodison, Mark Johnston, Brian Tarnowski, Keith Long, Michael Witt, Eric Papineau, and Matt Mack in your top 10.
How about that racing coming to the end of that stage? So many, key points here we got to take away that we can take away from this and carry over to the final stage. The drivers that save tires at times have the ability to just go nuclear and drive away from the field. Neil Pearson did it, and I believe Paul Hill was in the process of trying to run Neil Pearson down. I was watching the telemetry, and he was cutting into that lead quick, fast, and in a hurry. And we saw some of the great 3-wide racing there at the line from McCorkle, Tane Hodison, Mark Johnston. Dave, we could very well, at the end of this race tonight, have a first-time winner in the Stacy Strong Cup Series or a driver back in victory lane that hasn't been in a while.
Yeah, and of course we only have a few fewer laps than 80 to go to have that decision made. We're going to step aside, and when we come back, we'll hear from our Stage 2 winner, Neil Pearson.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Racing isn't easy. but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Race fans, welcome back to Brooklyn, Michigan, home of the last great house that Penske built. Stacy Strong Cup Series in action. Matt Metler and Dave Regal up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth as we now get ready for the final stage, which has been an absolutely wild and thrilling event here at this 2-mile speedway. Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox, that just cooked off a howitzer in the final laps, stands back on the gas. Let the mayhem commence once again. Is the green flag back in the air? Side by side, just behind him, Pearson's going to be uncontested here into the corner. Seems like the leader all race long has really gotten off to a great restart here. And why not? These drivers get a lot of practice doing it, and some of the best on the servers at it. Brian Tarnowski there resides in that 6th place position, working with Mark Johnston, who continues to have a great run inside the top 5.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I've been watching Tarnowski for years. We used to kind of be attached to one another like a pair of magnets. And Tarnowski is finally getting his due here with 75 to go at Michigan International Speedway, running in 6th position just behind Mark Johnston, a surprise top 5 runner right now as he gets to the inside of Cody McCorkle. They are side by side, and we have seen most of this side-by-side action almost all night long, Matt.
Literally, from the drop of the green flag, that has not been an understatement, and we're seeing the carnage and the amount of cars that have been scrapped and put on or put into the scrap pile because of that. Is we are teamed up here at the front, single file, all 3 cars in line, or they were just in line, as I say that, as Pearson's going to break formation here, go to that 2nd lane as he drifts, or I thought he was going to go all the way down to that yellow line, but he was looking in the mirror, because if he goes all the way to the bottom, he loses the benefit of that draft, and they're just going to overtake him on the outside. In fact, that's what's happening, as McCorkle stayed in it and has a strong push there from Popino on the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies.
And as they come out of turn 3, Tane Hodison with the lead as they suddenly are 3 wide behind him. Tarnowski the high side, Paul Hill the middle, almost contact between the 28 and the 6. They keep their act together, though, as we work here on lap number 128. The 28 still holding it steady. Oh, contact between the 80 and the 6.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
Contact, and then I had contact with my son here in the
Oh,
studio.
they can't get any tighter. Whew. That's tighter than my cummerbund after an all-you-can-eat buffet in fancy dress wear.
No, and there's that much pressure. Something's got to give.
Believe me, when there's that much pressure, usually I'm apologizing to people for my flatulence.
Well, that's probably the only thing that. You know what? I'm going to stop right there before that goes into uncharted territory. Tarnowski working his way there on the high side of the racetrack. He's going to slot now into fourth. And Dave, we're picking right back up with this wild side-by-side, slide job, drifting, however you want to throw it out there, racing action on the racetrack. The minute you put some fresh Dr. Feelgoods and you get that confidence back in the race car. And these boys are having at it once again. 78 McCorkle now looks like he's being challenged for the lead there from Tane Hodison, working that middle lane right now. No help up there with him. Let's see if McCorkle's able to clear to the high side, and is.
A bobble out of the 93, but McCorkle is off like a prom dress as he is now our race leader, bringing Eric Papineau along here on the low side. Papineau is one of those drivers where once he hits that clean air, all of a sudden that thing turns into a Chevrolet rocket ship.
Oh, I'm going to leave it at that.
Oh, my.
Yep. Well,
this is the most professional we get all week, by the way.
Well, this race has got both my sons up in arms. The first son, my youngest one, when Derek Heitman got beat at the line, had a nuclear meltdown. And now my older son is having his own because he's watching that 78 fall back through the ranks of the field.
Well, let's go to the Mini Metler focus here and take a look at Cody McCorkle in the 78. We'll zoom right in on him. And, of course, as soon as I do it, he has a connection issue. But watch this dude work right now. I mean, he is all over the inside door panel of Michael Witt. And right now, the Cabela's machine is trying to do battle with two fronts at once. That didn't work out for Hitler, and it's not going to work out for McCorkle.
God.
He's got to pick a line.
He's got to pick a line, and he forced a line. Well, that 78 is churning some big-time butter right now out there on the racetrack. Yeah, I mean, he is eating on the bottom. I mean, look at him send it in the corner.
I mean, listen, sometimes a bottom feeder is going to get their way to the top. You've got to get rid of some of that mess down there. You've got to churn that butter and rise to the top like that sweet cream.
Well, that's exactly what the 78 did there. He stood on it, stayed committed, did not lift, and was able to make the pass. But, the downfall is you can only do that a couple of times, with a set of tires. Then, do it a couple of times in a row, and you don't have the same car. And do it 3 times, and you're holding on for dear life for the remainder of that run, or until you get to put a chance to come down pit road. At least that was my experience. But it does make for some fun, exhilarating racing out there at the racetrack. Big time bump draft just got administered there as we go to the onboard GoPro cameras. We look out the back of the 28 of Brian Tarnowski. Dave, who I might add, is in second position, working behind Papineau.
And I little smoke off the wall. I silently get excited every time I see my buddy Brian up here running as well as he is. And I wish nothing but the best because, of course, his wife Stacy is why we are the Stacy Strong Cup Series. And, Stacy used to ride along with us every week. And, I know that she had a special bond with Tony Trapasso, both of whom are now watching us from above. And as we approach, just about 50 to go and about 65 to go now. I want to say that without Stacy Tarnowski, Brian would not be the racer that he is. She encouraged him every week. She was always cheering him in the youtube.com live chat. And what a special woman she was. And, of course, Trisha's Hope is a big part of what we do here. And I encourage everybody to check out Trisha's Hope online and see the good work that they do for those battling cancer, during and beyond.
Yeah, there's not too many guys in the world like Brian. I mean, he is a leader. He has done so much, for cancer research, for this series. Just to stand out.
Oh, my God!
He just got hurt! Are you freaking kidding me? No! The broadcasters.
Son of a biscuit.
blue Popeyes biscuits everywhere. I hate this. Oh,
I'm going to owe Brian a really big apology.
I can't. Just about every time, Dave.
Yeah, apparently we can't talk about anybody. Here's the move, and here's Hodison. And Hodison just gets to the inside and hooks him. Now, Brian immediately gets on the binders. I mean, he did the best thing possible. He rubs that inside safer barrier, and it doesn't look like he got too much damage, maybe a crinkle-dinkle there on the inside panel, but nothing major. So he should be able to continue maybe just a few seconds of damage repair on pit road.
What an incredible piece of driving by Brian Tarnowski. I watched him go off the racetrack, and I assumed that he obliterated that inside retaining wall, but somehow he was able just to basically just light contact. The 28's going to live to fight on. But that broadcaster's curse, guys, I'm telling you, it's a real thing. Just as we were talking about him.
And now here with us on the radio, Brian Tarnowski, driver the number 28. First of all, Brian, you were running really great up there, and I owe you an apology for about the 800th time during our career in the SNN League. This time it wasn't me on the racetrack, but you got the broadcaster's curse from me.
No, I just been kind of the excitement all night, I think.
I mean,
I've been involved in a lot of it.
It seems like everybody we have talked about at length tonight and then said nice things about, bad things have happened to them. I apologize. It's almost like back in the day when you and I were running near each other. And to that point, next week, will you be at Daytona International Speedway?
Yes. Yes, I will be there.
I'm going to need a drafting partner. I'm coming back to the racetrack for one race.
Oh, yeah, we're in.
My man. All right, I got the 28 and the 44. That's all we need. I'm set.
Oh, yeah. We go, and then we wreck each other at the end.
It's fine. That's fine. I'll let you have the win. It'll be great. But no, we were just talking about, all the good things that Tricia's Hope does. And since we had the time now, can you talk just a little bit about Tricia's Hope and what they do and what they've done for you guys?
Yeah, what they do is they try to help people with cancer, pay their bills, get them a ride, help, make their house payment so they can at least get their meds and get to their treatments. And they helped us a couple times going through it, but and then now I try to get back to them so they can help other people.
Well, Brian, listen, we appreciate everything that you do and everything that you stand for, and I know that you miss Stacy every day, and I know that we do as well, and I think about her every time I slide into the booth because I know without her encouragement of you, I don't think you and I would have the relationship that we do, and I appreciate that very much, my friend.
Oh, yeah, definitely. She brought a lot of us together, which was really cool. I just wish I wasn't involved in a lot of stuff tonight.
Buddy, I get it.
I love this place, and the car was good. It's just I need help now. The front's kind of done.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way. Hopefully you can get back up there on the recovery drive, and I will see you next week on the racetrack, buddy.
Oh, definitely, and I'm going to get back up there. Don't worry about it.
My man. All right. Well, thank you for your time. We'll see you later.
All right, thanks, man.
Do you hear that guy's attitude?
I love his attitude. And the first thing he talked about outside of Tricia's Hope, the intensity and just the all-out warfare on the racetrack. It's absolutely next level out there right now.
You can still hear him smiling in his voice.
And, that's one thing I love about Brian Tarnowski. He's out there having a great time. Yeah, he got used up a little bit. He's still got the right mindset. And you heard him. The front of that ZL1 Camaro is not right, but he's gonna keep fighting. He's gonna find a way to get some speed back in that race car as he's gonna restart here in that the 28 is gonna restart in that 15th place position.
Taking a look here at the YouTube.com live chat, we want to thank all of you for checking in with us. Let us know who you're pulling for. Of course, Sean Rogers confirming that he and Amanda will be at the real life racetrack back again tomorrow since the real race was postponed until Monday. And, that's something that always does scare me. NASCAR is one of those, first of all, it's not like, your local football team or your local baseball team. If they postpone a baseball game, you can get can get a rain check on that ticket. But, with a race, I mean, heck, some of us, such as in October, are going to be traveling 1,200 miles. If they don't get the race in on Sunday, I'm SOL because the plane takes off on Monday, whether I'm on it or not.
Neil Pearson making almost 3 wide as he sends it down to the flatlands. Big move from Pearson. He's going to go after that second place position. In fact, he has it now, but the top shelf has momentum coming. Is he going to be able to outlast into the corner on the bottom? Now help coming to Pearson. It's still a side-by-side John Force affair in the top lane prevailing as he's able to carry a little more speed. But here comes Pearson running hot and heavy off the corner. Almost give high five each other. And we're right back where we picked up down the backstretch. Where does the help go? Now the help goes with Pearson. He's going to surge ahead and should be able to clear the 88 of Witt off the corner. Slot Pearson up to second.
All I can say is I hope Papineau grabbed one of those Rhino pills from the gas station so he can last a little bit longer here atop the pile. As Michael Witt now pushing Neil Pearson along. The 88 and the 58 coming hot and heavy for the 17 Liberty University machine.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't take one of those Rhino pills. They kind of do the opposite.
I'm just saying. I mean, I've read. I've read.
All the horror stories I've heard on those things.
Some of them,
some of them even have like mercury in them.
Yeah. I mean, nothing like saying, you know what, I'm going to trust my life to a guy who doesn't speak very good English as he sells me a pill with a rhino on it.
Yes. Yeah, it does many things. It'll also make you glow at night. Oh, that. Dave, we got a storm brewing. It's starting to look like shape that we seen earlier here.
We're taking a look right here at the 66 of Chris Custer and watch the 01 right behind Mark Johnston. This whole little group here is getting hot and feisty right now.
Yeah, feisty, spicy. Matt Mackin continuing to have a great run. And here's what's wild and crazy. Usually Matt Mackin is the first innocent person to absolutely just get decapitated in someone else's mess on the racetrack. Tonight, it's been to all new levels. Big-time drivers, things have happened in this race that we couldn't even have dreamed of, but Matt Mackin remains unscathed. It is just outside the top 10, having a great run for him. Hopefully that trend continues as we're 3 wide. Mackin just...
Oh no, there it is!
I'm done. I'm done.
I give up.
I'm done.
I give up. As we're under caution for the 8th time for cause tonight. Let's take a look and see what happened. Here's Mackin just behind Tim Cook.
A little shalakalaka ding dong here, and there it goes. It's my turn to give an apology now. I am sorry, Matt Mackin. That's why I wasn't talking about you, buddy. And I thought, at least
safe.
I can say something. And the minute I do, struck by lightning for the 01 ride. I'm not even going to look at this replay.
I want to take one look from Matt Mackin's perspective. And that'll be the last we look at this particular disaster on the racetrack.
This is just so rough to watch.
And you know what? And I love Matt Mackin to death. I've been out on the racetrack with him for years. And,
I mean, the Red Bull car caught a tow missile to the side of the race car. Had no idea it was coming.
Yeah, Tim Cook cannot be a happy camper, but you know what? In all seriousness, that's not a Matt Mackin move. That's, to steal a little bit from AJ, that's not Matt Mackin doing Matt Mackin things. That's not the way that he drives.
No, it's not. And that's just a byproduct of these cars flexing and breathing. All that dirty air these cars are, close quarters. The air is moving. These cars are moving. And sometimes, it just takes a little bit, a fraction of an inch before it all goes wrong. And unfortunately, that's what happened there. And I'm 100% certain if I didn't bring up his name, that never would have happened. That's the second time Dave and I have KO'd an instant incident on the racetrack by talking about someone up here in the booth tonight.
We're talking about weather affecting the real race. I just happened to take a peek at our current weather conditions here just outside the city of Brotherly Love. What a beautiful... I'm guessing that this is a high-pressure system coming in from the west. But we've got low and mid-70s for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. And 60s at night. My God.
Oh.
That's good sleeping weather right there, folks.
Great sleeping weather. First, perhaps, hint of fall being in the distant future, not so distant future, as you're under a severe thunderstorm watch, or at least you were earlier. Not sure if that's
I still am until 10 p.m. There's some nasty stuff moving through. Oh, wow. What a line. Yeah, that's going to come and hit me right in the mouth.
He saw it.
Oh, my. Now, what do you use? Do you prefer AccuWeather, or what do you use?
Me? Well, I use radar. I use WSV3, which is a PC version of like what the weather stations use. It's, but that's just because I'm a weather guru and I'm a storm chaser. The novice or everyday weather guy, I use Radar Omega. That has a really good desktop application. It's a one-time fee. You get all kinds of premium features with it. Real-time NextRad, high definition, all the different tilt levels, outlooks monitoring. Real-time, there's no delay in the data. You get in the real-time as possible. Radar Omega, or if you want to go free, that's going to be Radar Scope, or I forget what the other free one is. It's by...
Do you pay for WSV3?
Absolutely.
Of course you do.
No, I don't keep it all year round. Not that I wouldn't like to, but it gets a little expensive. But for those months for those months that make sense, because of all the modeling, all the data that you're getting, it can really make or break a decision that you make, which leads to you putting yourself in position to, capture Mother Nature at its finest, or going in the wrong direction. So it's definitely worth it when you need it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of this, and this is some really good nerdy deep stuff. Out of there. Really good deep nerdy stuff here that I like.
Yeah, you're not using that in the field. For field, Radar Omega, probably the best way you can go with all the velocity data, all the different radar scans and all that other fun stuff. But
it's all
we can talk about that
another
time. Don't get sucked into the WSV3 hole.
I am. Oh, I so am.
It's a free trial by.
Oh, thank goodness. Well, we are back underway here at Michigan International Speedway. Eric Papineau, like a shot, just takes off in front of Neil Pearson.
Yeah, Papineau just, saying, you boys can take off on the restart. Watch what I can do in this ride. And he just hit the boogie in that ZL1 Camaro, and he took it out there. And he continues to lead over Neil Pearson. So you got Chevrolet on Chevrolet action here at the front of this piece. As there could actually be 3 Chevrolets at 9. Is now the 62 of John Wilco decides he's going to make an appearance here at the front of the field. The 62 comes to life in the final stage as Wilco worked his way into third.
Oh, my God. Brian Tarnowski's back up into 5th position. He's just over top of Chris Davis, who now runs in 6th, and they are a mess behind him. Tarnowski just got himself a fresh breath of air and gets ahead of the mayhem. Hopefully he can get some help here from the 88 of Michael Witt, as Witt is going to come up and give him that bump that he's going to need to stay away from Chris Davis. Meanwhile, the 88 nearly makes contact with Davis, and they, oh my God, almost go 4 wide.
The 66 had enough smarts to get out of there, and he lifts, and now he's going to make contact with McCorkle. it bounced off him and goes down the racetrack a little bit.
Brian Tarnowski running in 5th position. The 66, who just came back from being a lap down earlier here in the Tide Ride, is now running in 9th position. There's Matt Mackin as we work past the lap car of Mackin. Tarnowski holds on to 5th position. Right now, everything that's going on behind him is doing nothing but, a disconnect from the 74. All of this stuff that's going on behind Tarnowski right now is nothing but beneficial. Let's take a look. Here's the diamond formation. It's coming for us.
There's the bob. There's the weave. The recovery by the 93 of Hodison. We're still sandwich packed on top of each other.
Hodison's in the middle. This isn't going to end well for somebody.
Yeah, Hodison's the cream filling in the Oreo right now, and that's not where you want to be.
That is the first part that gets licked.
The juice. I don't know if he meant to throw it up there or that slid up there.
That was a slide. That was not intentional.
They've turned it back up.
You know, I cannot believe that we're seeing this late in the race. Now, Tarnowski slid back to 8th position. This is not a good look for him. I don't even want to talk about him. Let's just slide away, walk away as we go up here to Cody McCorkle, who's now under assault from Eric Papineau. They are side by side in a battle for the lead, and it's now a 4-way battle. Here comes McAdoo, Pennsylvania's John Wilco, representing the 570, challenging for the lead on lap 153.
Wilco is getting wicked up here in the 62 as he's reminding people, don't sleep on me. He is up here at the front. Dave Regal's getting fired up, and I am too, and I am loving every minute of this. As we got three cars racked and stacked on the high side of the racetrack, taking on, you got Neil Pearson, and it looks like McCorkle on the bottom. And just as quickly as that materializes, it dissipates. Chris Davis now coming back into the picture as he's worked his way back to 5th.
John Wilco hauling the mail all the way from up on Route 309, right here in good old-fashioned Pennsylvania, as he is now chasing down Eric Papineau. And I'll tell you what, Papineau has got to be looking back there going, where did he come from?
Yeah, exactly. Looking like Kevin Hart. He wants more. He said, Papineau, it's my time to shine, brother. I'm going to send it in here and give it everything she's got. I'm going to hold it to the floor, bite my tongue, and I ain't going to lift until I come out the other side ahead of you.
Oh, no.
What a save by Wilco, but that's going to cost him some momentum and positions on the racetrack. And what did I say? He was not going to lift, and he didn't lift until he had to. Wilco was giving it everything that he had.
Listen, I was really ready to tell. Listen, I'll tell Wilco right now. If he brings one home, I'm reporting it on the Real World News tomorrow on 105.5 WMGH. Oh, my God. Paul Hill all over the rear bumper of Eric Papineau, and driving away is Cody McCorkle for the time being. But Tane Hodison, as we go on board with him, is not done yet, as this thing was built in Detroit, and here he comes for the rear bumper of Eric Papineau.
Yeah, this is the point in time in this run. Don't get suckered in to this side-by-side, you go, I go, or get sucked in by the ill effect that this draft gives you, that you're going to be able to take a position out here on the racetrack and burn up those good years. This is where you ride. You make sure you're in the lead, you're in the pack with the lead draft, but you let everyone else burn their tires up. You run in line, you lift a little bit in these corners, don't get caught up in the shenanigans, and then when it's 10 laps to go, you let that rocket fire and you take off away from everyone like we've seen earlier in the race. But right now, McCorkle, Hodison doing a great job. How about Michael Witt in the 88? He is in 3rd. These guys are leaving it all on the line right now, Dave. In fact, it's looked that way pretty much all race long.
We have had a great race from start to now, and we aren't even close to the finishes. We're about 43 to go this time at the line. Cody McCorkle, our race leader, all of a sudden Eric Papineau literally just dives down pit road, barely getting down to 55 miles per hour. That's pit road speed here at Michigan, as he is the first driver to blink. Now the question is, does he think he's got it for the end?
I like the strategy and the call out of the 93 camp here. Is going to come down certainly going to put 4 tires on this race car. No way he's leaving the pits without tires. You see the jack going up now on the left side. Old Goodyear's coming off, new Feel Good's coming on. Jack drops down and away. Service complete, potentially for the final time on the 93 of Hodison.
You know, I'm just saying here, and this is completely unrelated, but as we were sitting there on pit road, I just want to say that Matt Mackin has the best dressed pit crew on pit road. They are wearing shirts and ties.
He actually sent me the the file for that. The first time I see that, I was dying laughing. That was awesome.
I think it's fabulous.
McCorkle continues to edge out Hodison. McCorkle's been pretty committed to running that lower line, while Hodison about a groove or a half a lane up the racetrack. Now the 93 is going to draft up on the 78. A little bit of a shot, almost getting to the corner here.
40 to go this time by at the line. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you. You're watching one heck of a race here on SRM Live on YouTube.com. We want to thank everybody. And Papano says that we need, or I'm sorry, Ryan Smith said that we need to keep Papano's name out of our mouths.
He's not wrong.
Lovely weather we're having today.
I think I'm going to get the Grand Slam. Should I get sausage or bacon, Dave?
Ooh, I do like a good Grand Slam with bacon. You know, I've never been at Denny's sober. Also, are Denny's still around? Is that still a thing?
They still are here in Florida.
I'm going to be checking right now to see if there's one in Miami. Oh, no, wait. You know what? I lied. I was at a Denny's with John. And I got a Grand Slam. Which is better than being slammed in grand fashion.
Or slammed out on the racetrack.
That's true. We've seen that happen time and time again tonight. My God. I mean, some of the things that I think that we've seen tonight are, we never see that in this league, period.
Once I get a moment to take the headset off when this race is over and just process what we've seen tonight. I thought we may be in for a show because I ran 2 races at Michigan earlier in this week on an open setup, and it was absolutely lit. Like, I was like, where did this come from? But I did not expect this.
Not even in the least.
I mean, so you were talking about the points, top of the broadcast. They're going to be all over the place now. I mean, we had to wait for those numbers to get, those points to be added, attrition counted. Oh, hold on to it. There go the 81. I think that was the 71, excuse me. Keith Long almost got snake bit.
We see that time and time again here. And to your point, when I feel like you really read the writing on the wall as maybe you're a sage of some persuasion, where, when that right rear gives out, there is no warning for most of these drivers. I mean, many of them they have the ability to feel some of that in their wheel, but 9 out of 10 of these drivers are going to tell you, yeah, it snapped on me. I had no idea what was about to happen.
Yeah, well, here's what happens. As a race car driver, you're on the racetrack. You're doing your job. You get a run or momentum, just like you see the 17 come down here to the bottom. Typically the momentum's able to carry you through the corner, and then when you go to slide up in front or take the position, you still have a speed advantage, and you still have an option to, or you still have that gap. But because of this way this car drafts in the low horsepower, it almost lies to you. It pulls a trick on you, because it's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make the pass here. You can't do it. So then you actually have to keep your foot literally in it to the floorboard, or as much wide open as you possibly can, because you're trying to get that position. Plus, if you don't, you're going to get freight trained on the outside. So it encourages you as a driver to really abuse those tires. It's just a byproduct of everything. I understand why we're seeing, the 3, 4, and 5 wide racing. I know it's infuriated you at times, Dave, but it makes for some great racing up here from the broadcast perspective. But it's this racetrack with this race car, kind of challenging you mentally as a race car driver. I'm telling you, the guy that wins this race is going to be someone that saved their tires and makes a run here late, unless there's mayhem and carnage, or something that allows everyone to go down pit road and put 4 fresh tires on it before we're all said and done.
And believe me, as long as the race starts to do what it's doing now, we see Michael Witt and Paul Hill coming down pit road together. Obviously, they've kind of orchestrated this as drivers to say, okay, you go, I go, and they want to be able to maintain that connection on the racetrack because they're going to be able to help keep one another competitive once we go through this cycle of pit stops. We see Tarnowski and Wilco back in 8th and now 10th. Cody McCorkle now maintains the lead, but a driver who shall not be named is now getting his lap back the old-fashioned way. That's an interesting development in and of itself. Speaking of an interesting development, so this is a completely unrelated topic, but of course we all know the great Bob Nestor, former 2022 Truck Series champion here in this league. Got a chance to cross paths with him last night. He sends me a picture during the Phillies game of the field, and he says to me, "Jealous?" ? I sent him a reply of the Phillies field from a few levels below, saying, "No, not here. Bob and I were both at the ballpark last night." Of course, he a Truck Series champion here from Tuesday Night NASCAR Thunder Trucks, and I mean, just a great all-around human, so it was good to get caught up with him for a few minutes. And, how do you figure that out of 43,000 people, 2 people from this league are going to be in the same place?
That's never happened to me, but
I just thought it was funny because he wanted to know if I was jealous, and I quite frankly was not. It does extend my streak. For 7 games that I've been at this season, the Phillies have not lost one of them.
I mean, you maybe were jealous. You just wouldn't want to let him know that.
If I was at home, yes, I would have been. But because I was sitting below him, closer to the field, I was not.
Well, that's fair. You're really not much of the jealous type anyhow.
No. As long as I'm in the ballpark, I'm a happy camper. Got to see a complete game pitched last night. My dad always asks me why I'm keeping score with my scorebook, and I use a digital scorebook now. And I have a radio scorebook that Frank Marchese and I both use, but when I go to the ballpark, it's much easier to bring along the old digital one. And let me just tell you, the old man wanted to sit there and bust my hump for being a nerd. And I looked at him and I said, and the first time I've been in the ballpark with a complete game.
And I got this guy here heckling me all game long. Go figure. That's my luck too.
Exactly.
Hey, but at least you're not bringing all this paperwork, a 3-ring binder with you like you would beforehand, notes, whatever you would have to do.
Oh,
and as we're talking about taking notes, look who's working the bottom side of the racetrack here. There's the 58.
Got himself right around Cody McCorkle.
Made it look easy.
Well, he's on fresh tires, and McCorkle hasn't come down yet.
I was going to say, Neil Pearson, remember, that's not for the lead. Neil Pearson's being scored in that 12th place position right now.
You have to start to wonder, you either come down early or you come down late.
I think, based upon what I'm seeing here, later is better than sooner. The tires are just such a big part of the equation here. You're gonna want the meat on those things. You're gonna want the stick. The best tires you've had when it's 2-3 laps to go, because that's really when this race is gonna just unload. I think we're gonna see something here at the end. And as wild as this race has been, it's gonna go to another level as McCorkle continues to lead over Hottison there in the 93. Chris Davis, beast mode performance, just down pit road as well. Brian Tarnowski still out on the racetrack, last down lap 30 or 137 in that 7th place position. Pit stops coming or on the horizon for the drivers inside the top 5. Or I would think they're going to be down pit road before this is all said and done.
I mean, look, the entire top 7 has 27 laps on those tires. I mean, Tarnowski 36, then Miles has 25, and Davis is the first one who just came down pit road, and he's only just cracked into the top 10. I feel like with 14 cars on the lead lap, it'll be 15 when Custer gets the lap back as the lucky dog. And here comes Hodison now, alone. I think if we see the cold tire bug bite somebody and maybe we have, a caution coming soon, that's going to really lock things in for McCorkle.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Dave. And the other thing is, now if by some miracle, we stay green here, that could change things as well.
I mean, at this stage in the race, here's the good thing. And here comes McCorkle bobbling down pit road, just barely getting under. I hope he managed to get through there.
I'm not sure. I think when he slipped and that car skipped sideways just a little bit, I think he was over at that scoring line. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, we're going to find out as our race leader, Cody McCorkle, comes down pit road. That's going to hand the reins over to Tyler Hutter in the 69. It's going to be Hutter, Johnson, Herring, Tarnowski, and Cook that have yet to come down.
And there was the few on the racetrack. Tyler Hutter, Mark Johnston, Herring still out on the racetrack. Still need to come down pit road for service, but they run 1, 2, 3. Phenomenal performances from all of these drivers here tonight. Steve Herring, another guy that's been in this series for a long time. And are you kidding me? We're going to pump gasoline on this?
Yep, we're going to throw gasoline on the tire fire. It looks like something bad has happened to Brian Tarnowski again.
Instead of 50-pound of propane in the middle of it?
Yeah, well, it's a propane accessory. Tarnowski. Oh! That wasn't on him. Come on.
Was that Heitman that hit him?
That was Heitman.
What?
That was Heitman.
Heavens to Betsy.
I don't know who Betsy was, but yes. Let's take a look here from Heitman's perspective. Now he sees Tarnowski. Tarnowski sets up, and what in the heck?
Was Tarnowski was trying to go to pit road, I think.
And he was committed to pit road, and for whatever reason, Heitman just misjudged it. Can I ask a real question?
Shoot.
Why? And just because I'm purely curious, why do we have both the American and Canadian flag at this racetrack? Are we that close to Canada?
Yeah, Michigan. It was the same way when I was born in basically Buffalo, New York. Hop, skip, and a jump from Canada. Everywhere I went, it was very common to see a Canadian flag alongside of the American flag, which is fine by me. It does not bother me any.
No, Tim Hortons has good coffee.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing. And they have a handsome prime minister.
They would do our national anthem and, Canada, same thing. And
oh, Canada. I always thought that's what the tone of that national anthem is. Oh, Canada.
Well, it's close. You got to carry the O just a little bit longer, and then you syllabalize Canada,
Yeah.
I just, I know it because I grew up around it for years. Hockey, local short track racing, Blue Cross. Yep.
Gotta love lacrosse. Oh, I can't wait till the season starts.
Front of Matt Mackin's car is gone, and again,
apologies from us for ruining his car.
That was 100% my fault on that one, as Dave and I conjured up a big dose of the broadcaster's curse here tonight, as it was perfectly executed. Not once, but twice in this broadcast, and I still cannot get over that. Caution comes out. We're going to rack stack everyone back on top of another who has a car that is still capable of turning laps out here on the racetrack. We're going to give them a fresh set of Dr. Feelgoods, pour all the gasoline on the track, a 100 gallon or 100-pound propane cylinder in the center. We're going to put an AT4 from a couple hundred yards away with laser locked onto that thing, and we are going to set this place ablaze before it is over. If you thought this race got wild earlier, you guys are in for something tonight. It's going to get crazy.
Chris Custer out of Ohio went from a lap down and now is our race leader. There, I said it out loud. I said the thing. Now he's got older tires than Keith Long, Tyler Hunter, Steve Herring, and Brian Tarnowski. They came down on 178 this time around.
They're about... I did this exact thing, not to cut you off. I pitted 9 laps before the caution. I had 9 laps on my tires, and they were not hard laps. I restarted P1, was able to jump out to the lead, and for the first 10 laps or so, no problem. After that, I just didn't have coming down to the end, the last final 2 laps, I dropped, I fell to the back like a cliff. I just did not have any tire left, and I needed that little bit that I didn't have. I hope Chris Custer has a better experience with this than I did, because it'd be great to see him get a second place finish, heck, even win the thing. But I just did this a couple days ago, and it cost me dearly, having just a couple laps difference on those set of tires as we get set to rock and roll here, waiting for that pace car to come down pit road.
We're going to go on board here with Chris Custer as we get ready to roll. Here comes Custer through the Geico restart zone. He drops the hammer a little late, and off we are. And he takes a nice restart, slides up the racetrack. As we look out behind him, look who it is.
It's the Pennsylvania Rocket, Johnny Wilco in the 62. He's going to slide into that second place position. Tyler Hunter in the 69 ride. It's challenging Wilco. They're going to both go up the racetrack a little bit. They give each other plenty of room. The Tide Ride literally ripping the yellow line all the way around the bottom and able to carry it back to the high side. And Wilco and Hunter are still deadlocked side by side as they start to pull away from the field just a little bit.
Everybody out of the pool, it's polka time. John Wilco ready to strap on the hairnet and get some bleenies down here to Chris Custer as he slides up the racetrack. Oh my God, look at these two. I'm telling you right now, I'm a big guy, and this could be the night that I finally have the heart attack that kills me.
This racing up front, I absolutely love it, but it's too soon. It's too soon to race like this. These guys behind them that are saving are going to get them, but it is absolutely lit like a Christmas tree at the front of this thing. They almost made contact. They bob, they weave. It's going to be the 66 of Custer at the line. It's three-way affair. It's okay to three-way in Michigan going into turn 1. Contact made. That's going to let the outside lane of, is that the 60 or 69 of Hunter on the high side of the racetrack? No, that is John Wilco. He's going for the lead.
John Wilco takes over the lead. He's got the bleenies in the passenger seat, and he's got some Boilo in the cup holder as he's now got to hold off Tyler Hunter in the 69. John Wilco waiting for some help to come in the form of Michael Witt as they're getting ready to go 3 wide again. Oh, my sweet Jesus. Holy crap. Oh, God. Hold your breath. Hold your breath.
Almost, there's the diamond formation. They go into the Blue Angels air show formation going into the 1 and 2 complex. as they hit about Mach 3 coming out of the down the backstretch side by side. Side drafting at its best. However, Tyler Hunter gets a great run. He makes contact with the business end of Chris Custer. That's going to help him with the corner assisted entry, 3 wide. Oh, they're sliding up off the bottom. They're literally leading on each other. He comes up the racetrack. He gets air blocked. It's back down to the air. Dave, this is absolutely insane.
The contact between the 69 and the 6, contact between the 69 and the 88. 69 is a popular number here. The only thing is the difference between 69 and 70 is 1 finger up your tailpipe, as now Paul Hill slides on by the 66 of Chris Custer. He's going to bring along Tyler Hunter, and he's going to give him a good, healthy bump. Drifting back through the standings is John Wilco, as he's had to take a step backwards here with 16 laps to go. Things starting to cool off up front, but here comes Neil Pearson, the Silver Fox, cutting through the field like he's got a Ginsu knife behind the steering wheel.
Neil Pearson was an inch from popping that tie ride into oblivion. Was just able to squeak by. That was almost biblical. What Pearson was. Oh, we got problems on the high side of the racetrack. We had a car losing the right rear. He's around. Oh, the bumper cover goes flying in the air. We stay green.
Paul Hill now your race leader. He's got Chris Custer behind him. Neil Pearson running in third. There's the 74 of Chris Davis. He's watching the 62 behind him as the 93 gets around John Wilco. Tane Hodison now takes over 6th position for the time being. Brian Tarnowski running in 10th, while Eric Papineau, whose name we're supposed to keep out of our mouths, I feel like I still have to disclaim that, is running in 8th position. We've got 14 laps to go at Michigan International Speedway. Side by side goes Pearson and Custer isn't going to give up easy. He said, "You're going to have to take this position away from my cold, dead hands."
And he's going to cold dead hands, and that might not even be enough. As we're side by side, 2 by 2, Noah's Ark situation here at the front. We got situations all over the racetrack. And heck, blink your eyes and it completely changes. We got something new and brewing around each corner here, as it's been all race long. Paul Hill, where did he come from? Oh, as Eric Papineau just hits the new fastest lap of the race at a 38.25 from the 17 of Papineau.
He's saving the best for last. You watch. Something good's going to come out of that yet. Wilco slides up into 7th position. He now gets just ahead of Eric Papineau. Papineau now exchanging that position with him yet again. Papineau fresh off that fastest lap of the race. He comes down here, looks to the inside, can't find any room, and here comes Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox, side by side with Paul Hill.
Pearson to the bottom of the racetrack. He is really working it literally on oh, he gets loose off the corner just a little bit. He's going to cost him a little bit of momentum, but he saves the race car and does not overheat the rear tire as he slots in behind the Dent Slayer machine being piloted by Paul Hill. As it's now Hill, Pearson, Custer, Hodison, Chris Davis now in 5th. And Papineau, I was telling you about those tires on that race race car starting to fall to the back just a little bit, or he could be going into the save mode. We're going to have to monitor that situation. Chris Custer doing a great job with out there with battling against these guys. Remember, he was last down on lap 166. Everyone else on 178. I'm hoping the tires hold out for the 66 of Chris Custer, as he is putting on one heck of a show, paying homage to Darrell Waltrip when he was at his finest in that same or a sponsored car.
Well, and I'll tell you what, here with 11 laps to go, they are beating and banging on one another like there's 5 laps to go. They've been doing this all night long, folks.
10 laps to go. I would be more confident picking a winner at Daytona or Talladega than this race. And I'm just being dead honest. I have no idea who is going to win this race. I just know it's going to be probably from someone that saved a little bit of time. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going with. Davis now on the move up to 3rd. As he gets around that 66 Dark Horse Ford Mustang of Chris Custer. Davis now trying to close in on the back of Neil Pearson. side by side here, just a little further back. This is Mark Johnson and Brian Tarnowski. That's just outside the top 10 for 11th and 12th.
Brian Tarnowski on the recovery drive after being taken out not once but twice tonight, as he's still trying to make that high line work. He's found some speed up there, but Paul Hill has his hands full up atop the pile. Here he goes once again trying to hold off Neil Pearson. He lets Neil Pearson slide on by. And don't look now, but here in the beast mode number 74 Toyota Camry is Chris Davis, trying to represent his team in the absence of Sean Rogers. And Sean Rockin' Rogers, of course, was here at the real racetrack today and now cheers on his teammate from the youtube.com live chat. Paul Hill looks to the inside as Dave Regal and Matt Metler have been with you already tonight through 193 laps. 8 to go now at Michigan International Speedway.
We're just about woulda, coulda, shoulda, wrecking for second and third. And right behind him simultaneously with Pompano and Custer. We're beating and banging a little bit, tire smoke frying. But how about Chris Davis? Beast mode in the house. Sean Rockin' Rogers not in the field. And he is clutch. I got you, cuz. And he is right there in third into the... Oh, no.
And I think a bite of the bad luck bug came for Brian Tarnowski just here. Oh, my. Let's take a look and see. He's not supposed to face that way.
Yeah, he's going up. He's going backwards up against the fence. You can't park there. Oh, my.
Let's take a look and see what happened with Tarnowski. He's got McCorkle in front of him, and here's Heitman again. Heitman has just been abusive to Tarnowski tonight.
I'm going to say there is, I don't like to say more than what I know or facts I have in front of me, but I think Heitman may be upset about something with Tarnowski. It looks that way. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what Tarnowski did to Heitman. Custer, Herring, and Wilco just came down pit road. They're going to have the freshest tires when we come back green flag racing. Now we're 6 to go. This may be a natural green-white checker or a green-white checker +1.
It usually, Heitman's a pretty level-headed driver too, so believe me, folks at home, when you have a race like this, going all the distance, 200 laps of all-out mayhem, it's going to bring the good, the bad, the ugly. Something that happened 2 years ago will show its ugly face and manifest itself. And that's just a byproduct of this kind of racing over the course of tonight in prime time. Thrilled to have you guys on board with us here. Sim Racing Media, Matt and Dave up here in the booth. And if it couldn't get any wilder, late race caution for an incident involving Brian Tarnowski. We have green flag laps on these tires. To pit or not to pit? Do you come down pit road putting 4 Dr. Feelgoods on it? And as the drivers decide that, we're going to step away, pay some bills for the final time, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on SRM.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And just as we come back to Green Flag Racing here at Michigan International Speedway, Neil Pearson takes a shot right in front of Paul Hill and Eric Papineau. Paul Hill here in the 6 machine, that Dent Slayer Ford Mustang, is trying to hold off 2 drivers in the form of Chris Davis and Eric Papineau. Dave Riegel and Matt Mettler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank all of you for tuning in here for the finale of this race at Michigan International Speedway. A few drivers coming down here on lap 194 for pit service, but it may be too little too late, as Chris Davis is now watching Eric Papineau and Paul Hill pull away from him.
Remember, folks, we've seen these 2 drivers do this earlier in the race. Neil Pearson and Paul Hill were able to save just a little bit in the tank, and when the time came a calling, they were able to pull away from the competition as Neil Pearson continues to lead and is pulling away from Paul Hill. In fact, the top 3 are more strung out than a methadone clinic at this point in time, which I cannot believe as tight, racked and stacked as this race has been. But another lap comes off the board. Now 1 or 2 laps remaining to decide this one here in Michigan.
The popsicle sticks go in the air. We're 2 laps to go. Neil Pearson, your race leader, with 4/10 of a second over top of Paul Hill. He has just about a half lap until we are in the final stretch for the final time, as Eric Papineau is holding off Chris Davis desperately, and Chris Davis is taking all kinds of abuse from Tyler Hunter. Neil Pearson leads us into turn number 3 one more time, as Chris Davis is still back here harassing Eric Papineau. And at this point, it looks like Paul Hill just needs to hold on and hit his marks to keep the Dent Slayer machine there. The popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers.
Neil Pearson has found the warp drive in that ZL1 Camaro. I can guarantee you he's got it in 4th gear, and that thing is screaming between 89 to 9,000 RPM as he continues to try and pull away or maintain the gap over Paul Hill. These 2 cars are rockets right now, absolutely flying out here at the point. But through the 3 and 4 complex for the final time, the modern-day Silver Fox, the man from down under, is going to conquer and win this wild one here at Michigan. Neil Pearson gets the win. Paul Hill 2nd. Eric Papineau comes home 3rd.
This has to have been the craziest race of the season so far. My God, and we aren't even at the playoffs yet.
Neil Pearson.
He's already taken the trip into Monday.
Monday money, baby. I know over here it's Sunday money. But every time you put Neil Pearson in a situation where there's other factors that can affect the outcome of this race, you put him on a racetrack that uses tires, or there's just a lot of calamity, hard race and door banging, a little bit of damage to your race car. This man always seems to rise to the top of the equation. He has been absolutely perfect tonight here in Michigan, and he gets a dominating win. Neil Pearson, your winner here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, as he gets the rest out of those good years, Dave.
Yeah, Neil Pearson's going to be joined on the podium by Paul Hill and Eric Papineau. Chris Davis and Mark Johnson finished 4th and 5th. Tyler Hunter, Tane Hodison, Steve Herring, John Wilco, and Chris Custer make up your top 10. Let's see if we can get a hold of our race winner, Neil Pearson. As first I have to find the darn guy. There he is. Take it away, Matt, with Neil Pearson.
Neil Pearson, David, Matt, up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Got a copy, guys?
Well, hey, over here, when like sometimes they'll refer to a driver as Sunday Monday. Well, you're Monday Monday, Neil Pearson. You know what? I am not surprised. It's a pleasure to be able to watch you race. And here we go. The stage is set. A wild, absolute slugfest on the racetrack. A tire that is being abused literally almost every lap. And these drivers are being put to the test. And once again, you come out on top. How were you able to put together such a strong performance, or going up against some of the greatest competition, I think, in the iRacing servers, and come out of Michigan with a dominating win here tonight?
Honestly, I think it comes down to the setup. Ryko they came this week, and that car was just amazing. I was just able to save at the start, drop back a little bit, and then,
thank you, Neil.
Thank
you for saying that. I was screaming that all race long, not to cut you off. Go ahead.
That's all good. Yeah, I mean, I was able to, just save it, and then the back half of the run, I could just drive through the field and save the tires and just keep the car under me. Yeah, the car was fantastic. I didn't have to do anything to it all race. It was just so good.
And when I say dominated, I'm talking about after you've done all that saving, when you decided to hit that switch and go. I mean, your car just lit like a rocket. And I mean, you took it by yourself, didn't need the draft, and you just took it to the front and ran away from everybody. And that was impressive to watch. And, talk to me about how do you, as a driver, obviously out there on the racetrack, you're supposed to get as many positions as you can and pass people on the racetrack. How do you get that discipline to sit there and not fight for that position right now, to let that guy go? How do you get to that point where you can give it up to know you're going to, or have the confidence you're going to be able to make it back when it all counts at the end?
Just trust in myself, it's something I've worked on a lot. I've been around the iRacing service for a long time now, and I've always had a really good short run pace. So I've been trying so hard to get the long run pace, and I think one person I could probably credit that to is my teammate Andrew Dyson, because he is so good on the long runs, and he was just destroying me, and I'm like, I can't have this anymore. So I've just been really working hard on figuring out what I need to do on the short run to make the car last. I'm not gonna lie, in that stage one, I was a bit worried because I think I dropped down to 20th or something. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. Maybe it's a bit too much. But in the end, it was the right call, because back half of that run, the car was just on fire. So,
yeah, I don't know. Were you shocked at how draft and tire critical this race was tonight?
No, all these high speed banked, Indy, Pocono, Michigan, Auto Club, well, the old Auto Club. That it's kind of what it's about. It's just draft, right. And trying to just save the tire in the draft and keep the pace up. And yeah, I was looking forward to it because I really enjoy these banked high speed draft fests. It's good fun. It makes for some interesting footage and really good fun racing.
Interesting footage is a great way to put it. We certainly had a whole race of it tonight. Dave and I are spent, and we didn't even race out there on the racetrack. Watching you guys was absolutely thrilling. And, what you were able to do tonight certainly was a statement maker in this series. And congratulations again. Before we cut you loose, Neil, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 58?
Rocco for the setups, as I said earlier. My American teammates, Bobby and Matt, it's always good fun. My Australian teammates, as I said, Daiso, forcing me to become a better driver. And you guys for the broadcast. I can't wait to watch it. SNN for the fantastic league. It's always good fun waking up and coming and race this league. And I'm had a ball today.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. You got to know when to hold him, know when to smoke him. And that was executed beautifully tonight by Neil Pearson, as it literally looked like he had an Acme rocket strapped to the back of that Camaro at times as he surged to the front in dominating fashion throughout the race tonight and gets the big dub here from the house that Penske built. Dave, back to you.
Yeah, what a finish for Neil Pearson as we get ready to talk to Paul Hill. And I have Paul Hill down on pit road right now. Hey, Paul, it's Dave. You got me?
I got you.
Well, man, listen, you gave it all you had tonight. Nobody can say that you didn't leave anything, left to be at least in your heart. That's for sure. You start 24th. You finish You finished second. I mean, how was it getting through this mayhem tonight?
Honestly, it wasn't too bad as long as you minded your P's and Q's. Me and Neil had a little bit of a dust up. Wasn't really either one of our faults. So honestly, it's kind of like a netcode thing, and left me with some left side damage. About I think it said 39 seconds, and it was permanent. So it kind of hindered me on that last green white checkered. I mean, shout out to him though. That was a really great race ran by him. He killed it. I mean, I don't even think with a clean car I would have had anything for him on that last run. So it was a lot of fun. Shout out to him. Shout out to Eric as well in third. I mean, great race by really everyone tonight. Couple little dramas, but it happens. People get mad.
Now, next week we head on down to to Daytona Beach. We're going to be back at Daytona International Speedway for the Coke Zero 400. Tonight you got some experience drafting again in this league. I mean, it's been a little while since we've been on the Super Speedway. What can you translate from here to take to Daytona?
I mean, honestly, not too terribly much. I mean, Daytona, we obviously won't have really tire wear, so it won't matter as much as it does here, which is what's fun about here. It really baits you into running harder than you should because the draft is so strong here at Michigan. But at Daytona, it's really just going to be, I think, a fuel-saving game more than anything, and knowing your partners and knowing who you can push aggressively. I'm really looking forward to it. Shout out to the guys at 4Wide. We're all going to get our reps in and hopefully have a strong outing next week.
Yeah, without a doubt, next week is going to be a challenge. But before we cut you loose and turn our attention to next week, who do you need to thank besides the guys at 4Wide, and who do you need to shout out for getting it done here on the 6-car tonight?
I want to shout out Chris Custer. He had a phenomenal run this week. He did amazing. Battled back from a simple mistake on pit road that gave him a black flag and a lap down. He battled back and got a top 10. So I want to shout out Chris, and I want to shout out the boys at 4Wide again, and Dit Slayer for all the tools to do my job.
All right, my friend, congratulations on the P2 finish. We'll see you next week, and I will see you next week on the racetrack at Daytona.
I look forward to it. It's going to be fun, man.
Fun is definitely one way to put it as we get ready to turn our attention one more time here tonight to Eric Papineau, driver the number 17. Matt?
Eric, Matt, and Dave up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. You got us, bud.
Yes, I do. How are y'all doing tonight?
Man, we are spit from watching that, calling that race. That was one heck of a show you guys put on tonight, and one heck of a drive by yourself. Eric, there was a lot of mayhem and a lot of carnage out there on the racetrack at times. You fought hard all race long. How were you able to keep your nose out of that and put yourself in the right spot at the right time to get a great finish here in Michigan?
Well, I started with a good piece. I knew that I had a good set under me, had good teammates that were cheering me along as well, and I did get involved in the one big one, the gigantic wreck a little bit earlier in the race, and it wasn't major damage, which was good. I think it was like 50 seconds, so was able to just put that and get it repaired, and the setup just stayed under me and just trusted the air. And man, to be racing up front with guys that know how to race and not be over aggressive, that made it a lot easier to know when I could push, when not to push as well. So
that's a great point. You're reading my mind. I was going to ask you about that big wreck on the racetrack. At first, I thought you had a lot more damage to your race car, but you mentioned about 50 seconds worth of damage. After you repaired the damage, did you felt like your car had any ill effects, or did you have all the speed in that race car after you got it fixed?
No, it still had all the speed. I got a slight bump on the front end and driver side doored it into the wall fairly lightly, almost like Tarnowski did later in the race on the inside wall, but not really anything, no wheel damage or anything. So I mean, she was fast. I made a couple of mistakes later in the race, making a couple of adjustments and trying to keep up with the track, and went a little too far.
But yet you were still able to come back, make some corrective adjustments on that race car. And it was, when it was game time, you had a rocket ship in that 17 tonight. Awesome performance, man. Great to see you up here in the podium. In fact, pleasure having you up here in the SRM broadcast booth post-race. Hopefully we'll see you more up here in the future. But before we cut you loose, let you go, man, who do you want to thank on the 17 who helps you get it done?
There's quite a few people. I mean, first off, got to thank God, but beyond God, I got to say my teammates, Richard Pruitt in 24, Mike Whitney 88, my wife for giving me the time to be able to do this. One of my coworkers that pops in and cheers me on, and Meineke, Car Care, Liberty Live Church. You'll see them predominantly both across my car, one race after the other. So I got to thank all them.
Is, ladies and gentlemen, when the going got rough, the cream always rises to the top, and Eric Papineau was up for the challenge. He fought through the adversity, the on-track calamity, fixed his race car, and was able to pilot the storm and come home with a solid third-place finish. Going to have a lot of momentum going in and confidence going into Daytona next week. That's the driver of the 17, the one and only Eric Papineau, Dave.
As always, it's great to hear from Eric, and it's great to hear from all of our podium finishers tonight, as these guys absolutely battled their way from start to finish here at the house the Penske built. It was just an incredible race, and I mean, one of the things that I take away from these kind of competitions is how clean a lot of our drivers are in this league. I mean, you can't say enough about the skill that it takes to get around here.
It is. If you're a fan of this, you just watch, this at home, and we're thankful to have you here. Not that everything translates to real life, unless you've done it in the simulator. It is so difficult to run out there too wide, three wide's a stretch, and these guys going 4 or 5 at times, plus these cars bouncing, moving around. Is incredible skill set that these drivers possess to be able to go on and put on a show like that for 200 laps. And thankful to be up here in the broadcast booth. But Dave, at the end of the day, you heard from our leader and the second place driver. It was having the patience and the discipline to not go to save. And this racetrack playing games with you mentally, making you overdrive this race car. And that primed us for probably one of the most high-octane thrillers I've seen in SNN since I've been back up here in the booth here on SRM. I cannot wait to see what happens in Daytona, and you back in the race car. A lot of big storylines moving into the upcoming race weekend.
Yeah, an exciting week next week, of course, with yours truly back in the race car. I still don't know what number I'll be or what paint scheme I'm going to run, and I think it's going to be something traditional, that's for sure. But before we get out of here, one last time, let's look at our final results before we turn our attention to Daytona Beach, as Neil Pearson captures the checkered flag here at Michigan International Speedway. He's joined on the podium by Paul Hill and Eric Papineau. Chris Davis and Mark Johnston make up the rest of your top 5, while Tyler Hunter, Tane Hodison, Steve Herring, John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania, and Chris Custer round out your top 10. Timothy Cook comes home in 11th, with Tanner Marty in 12th. 13th goes to Larry Miles, while Keith Long comes home in 14th. Cody McCorkle comes home in 15th, while Tyler Sexton brings home 16th. Michael Witt goes in 17th position, while Chris Claude, our chief cook and bottle washer here in this league, finishes in 18th. Ken Ron in 19th, 20th, and rounding out your top 20 is Matt Mackin, while Brian Tarnowski, Derek Heitman, Rich Jett, Bobby Anderson, Ron Fitting, Michael Caffrey, Austin Call, Ryan Anderson, they make up your top 28, with Alex Princeton Oddly coming home in 30th position, Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia. He comes home in 31st. Some big names here toward the bottom of the pile, like Kavaja Holt in 32nd. Payson Lindsay in his debut race here in the Cup Series comes home in 33rd. Driving the number 8 is Alexander Gangler. He comes home in 34th. 35th goes to Richard Pruitt, and Bad Chad Sanner out of Smithfield, Pennsylvania, comes home dead last in 36th. Unfortunately, somebody had to do it, and of course, this week it has to be my fellow statesman, Chad Sanner. But for myself, Dave Regal, and everybody else here at Sim Racing Media, we want to thank you for tuning in and making us a part of your evening. We want to remind you to tune in every night of the week, as we have racing now 7 nights a week here on SRM. So there's always something to watch when there's nothing on TV. And even if there is, you can record the TV. You can't record us. That's for sure, as we are live every night of the week. Tomorrow night, make sure to join us at 8:15 p.m. as we get ready to go back racing here at Michigan International Speedway in the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series. And, of course, also tune in next Sunday night, as yours truly will be back in the race car at Daytona International Speedway for the Coke 0400. So for Matt Metler and myself, Dave Regal, thanks for watching. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.